This meeting of the Standing Finance Committee will be resumed. Head 18, Ministry of Finance. Head 18, Ministry of Finance, the sum of $6,296,855,648. I shall now invite the Minister of Finance to make a brief opening statement, not exceeding 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, the Ministry of Finance can be described as the engine room of the economy. The ministry is responsible for raising and collection of revenue and the authorization of expenditure and the disbursement of funds to ministries, statutory authorities, state enterprises, and other departments and agencies of government. The ministry is also responsible for debt management, and they're also responsible for supervision of all state enterprises and their subsidiaries, which currently number approximately 100. The ministry is also responsible for fiscal and monetary policy and exchange control. In essence, the ministry is responsible for the management of the finances of Trinidad, the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $6,296,855,648 for Head 18, Ministry of Finance, stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $6,296,855,648 for Head 18, Ministry of Finance, is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure, the draft estimates of the revenue and expenditure of the statutory boards and similar bodies and of the Tobago House of Assembly, and the draft estimates of the development program. We shall now proceed to consider the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. We are at page 81. Subhead 01, Personnel Expenditure. Item 001, General Administration. Member for Caroni Central.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Minister, I should tell the chair I was just threatened by
Kiba, no ruler, no pen, no pencil. Who is that? You had to be rebooted every day? You're like a computer?
If you could have a little order, what I would ask members, member for Caroni Central, if you would permit me, I will ask members to leave the rulers on the desk at the end of the day.
Which is what I do.
Okay,
this
thank
is
you.
what I do.
Member for Caroni Central.
Yes. We notice here a general increase. And a simple question, which is that, is this for vacant posts of incumbents, as you say it is included here? And will there be any additional expenditure for new posts?
All right, could you be specific in terms of the page and line item, please?
Oh, I thought we were on page 81. Are we
Yes,
on
but
page
what
81?
line item are you on?
The general heading their personal expenditure 01.
Okay, so 01, you're talking about the increase of $37 million?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The provision would allow for vacant posts, and also recently the Cabinet approved restructuring of the Ministry of Finance to separate our economic management division or unit into two parts, into debt management and economic management. So we have some rationalization and upgrading of positions within that key part of the ministry. So it's for vacant posts and for restructuring of the ministry for efficiency.
Okay. So the economic management division will have an increase in
It's a unit.
new posts and new employees?
One division is going to be split into two. We found it a bit inefficient to have
Yes.
one unit dealing with both the fiscal side, which is the budgetary accounts dealing with the IMF, Standard & Poor's, Moody's, dealing with economic projections and so on. We found it cumbersome to have one unit dealing with that and also dealing with debt management. So it's now split into two parts, debt management and fiscal. And therefore, we need to restructure, we need to employ additional people, and we need to upgrade some of the positions in the split units.
Okay. Will the part of that unit, or you're saying two parts, will the part of that unit that is not involved in debt, will that also be involved in forecasting?
Yes.
So
That's the purpose of that split, to split out forecasting and economic management from debt management.
Okay. So this new unit will deal with the forecasting.
Now, let me also explain that, because I know it came up in the debate. All of the international agencies have told the Central Statistical Office for a number of years, this is not new, it didn't happen only under our time, but they've told the CSO that they should not be involved in economic forecasting and they should deal with actual data only. It has been a practice in this country for many years, 30, 40 years, for the CSO to do economic projections, but that is not international best practice. And if you look at the ratings from Standard & Poor's and Moody's, and also look at the Article 4 IMF reports over a number of years, going back 10 years, you will see they're making that comment that CSO should be just dealing with actual and that the Ministry of Finance should do projections. The projections are always corrected at the end of the year by the CSO when the actual figures come in. So in view of the fact that we have been told it is not our initiative, it is the initiative of the international agencies telling us that we should now do forecasting at the ministry, we have to beef up that division as well. Bring in new people, upgrade the core competencies and so on.
This is an important issue, Minister. I just want to get it clear, and also for the sake of the public. So forecasting will now be done by the Economic Management Unit, one section of it in the Ministry of Finance, and that will be checked, so to speak, validated when the numbers are reviewed by the CSO.
Actually, it will be replaced because the CSO does actuals. So the ministry will go forward, do forward projections, and when the actual numbers come in, the CSO numbers will become the official numbers. So the ministry will just be doing a projection.
I understand. And,
okay. And this year, what we did, because it's new, we just used the World Bank projection rather than our own economic projections for 2019. Okay?
All right. Thank you very much. I'm okay on that page.
Okay.
I don't know if any of my colleagues.
Item 002, Budget Division.
Again, the budget division, you have an increase, and it does say include provision for vacant posts. I wanted to know if there were going to be any additional new posts.
Just 1 second. Ask me, right? No, it's existing vacancies.
Only existing vacancies.
Existing vacancies.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a little question on that.
Okay.
1 minute, finish.
Yeah, I'm finished with this section.
Member for Caroni East.
Thank you very much.
Good
Good morning
morning
to everyone. Morning, Chair. Honorable Minister of Finance, I might need to be educated on this, but I'm asking the question. The gratuities section of the Ministry of Finance Where is that located? Is
It's
it
not,
in the
it's not
budget?
this one.
Huh?
It's not this one.
It's not?
It has its own head.
It has its own head.
That's coming up.
All
If you look at the
Schedule.
schedule, you'll see pensions and gratuities, head 20 is next.
No,
So we're
why I
dealing with
was
head
asking that,
19
because
today.
there's always a complaint about
Yeah,
people not
but it's
getting
not,
their
it's not,
pensions and
it's
so.
not the head on the examination.
All right, okay, thanks.
All right, so we can move on. Item 003, customs and excise duties. Commissioner Manzanilla, is that yes, please, Commissioner Manzanilla, and then I'll take you Caroni Central.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Minister, under Customs and Excise, 01, salaries and cost of living allowance, there's a decrease here and, of $2 million. And I just wanted to find out how will this decrease impact upon the effective management of the operations of the Customs and Excise Division?
Firstly, let me just say it was remiss of me not to mention that we have two major revenue collection agencies in the ministry, the Inland Revenue Division and Customs and Excise. So Customs is an integral part of the Ministry of Finance. If you look at the 2019 original estimate,
Yes.
you will see it was 40 million. And the estimate for 2020 is also 40. Over time, it's something that you will not know exactly what it's going to be until you get closer to the end of the year. So you'll see the original estimate for 2019 was 40 million, and we ended off the year with 41,850,000. It depends on the number of containers that come through the port. It depends on the number of hours over time that the customs officers work. This provision of 40 million will in no way impact adversely, because if we need to supplement, we will supplement. It's an estimate based on the best judgment at this time, as was in 2019.
So, Minister, are you indicating that the 01, which refers to salaries and cost of living, will be impacted really by the overtime?
No, well, we're dealing with 03. What are you looking at?
I'm dealing with
Oh, sorry,
01.
my mistake. You're dealing with the
Yes.
60 and the 62.
Yes.
It's just an estimate. It includes a provision for vacant posts, and if it's necessary to supplement, we will supplement. Okay,
But,
sorry about that.
That's okay. And in light of the fact that you raised the vacant post, which is 08, I know that you had indicated that you were working at a standing finance committee. You indicated that you were looking to provide for vacant posts and that you will try your best throughout the year to get the Public Service Commission to
Well,
fill
we
these
always
posts.
do that.
Yeah, but what is the status on that in terms of how many posts are currently vacant from
In
since that time now?
customs, it's a significant number. We can get that for you, but it's significant.
Thank you.
I think it's over 100. But the fact is that this is vacant posts without incumbents, so that there's nobody in this post right now. Okay? The other one at the top there was talking about the 2 million difference. There would be people in the vacant posts, but they would not be confirmed. They would be acting in those posts. Okay? So we will continue to try our best to get the personnel department and the Service Commission to deal with this, but this is one of the reasons why we want to create a revenue authority, because the vacancies, I am not the first Minister of Finance who has suffered from huge vacancies in customs. At one time, the vacancies were almost 50%, and that has been a feature of our landscape for 20, 30 years. So it is not this is not the first government or first Minister of Finance who has had difficulties and struggle to fill vacant posts in customs. It's not up to us. That's just the system. There's an independent commission, and we can't tell them what to do. We could only ask.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and to the Minister. Minister, I walked in a bit late, but I know my colleague was dealing with the issue of vacant posts, and you did allude to the challenges, because in 2019 you had an allocation for $6.350 million, and in 2020 this said allocation, and I didn't see under the revised estimate, so that means you had no vacant posts being filled.
We did not fill the posts. I want to underscore this. The reason why you had an allocation of 6.35 million for vacant posts and the actual expenditure was zero is that no vacant posts were filled by the Service Commission. This is not in our hands. It's a constitution's way it's set up. And as I said, we can only ask them to fill the posts. We can't force them to fill the posts.
And how many vacant posts you?
You came in late. I said it's significant, approximately 100, but we will get that information for you.
Okay.
Okay?
East?
Yeah. Well, Honorable Minister, I understand and appreciate your dilemma in filling vacant positions, but my colleagues and probably the Minister of Education will probably indicate that when we have this difficulty, when we had it in education, I would seek a meeting with the Public Service Commission.
No, it's a
or the
different
Teaching
commission.
Service Commission.
That's a different commission. That's the Teaching
No,
Service Commission.
Right, but you can't.
It's
have a-
not the same. It's different people, and they operate differently.
Have you sought a meeting with them to explain that?
The permanent secretary meets with the Service Commission and corresponds with them on these matters
Well, I think-
constantly.
But I think this is-
Constantly.
there is urgent need for some degree of amelioration to that difficulty.
We can't do
because-
anything about it.
Yes, I mean,
What, we're gonna
you're in
force
charge,
them?
you're in government, and you have the authority. You have the-
I'm making the point that when you were in government, you had the same problem and the same posts were not filled. These
that
are not
does-
new posts, you
but
know.
that doesn't mean they say
These
we
are
must
posts that
perpetuate
existed
it.
for the entire 5 years of the UNC government
Okay, so
and
I-
were not filled.
Okay, so I think the point has been made and
Yes, we mustn't
belabored.
perpetuate it.
Member for Caroni Central.
Follow up on this issue. Minister, you mentioned the Revenue Authority. So if you don't mind, and with the permission of the chair, the questions I may ask with regard to customs and excise, and inland revenue might have implications or may be pointed towards your notion of the Revenue Authority. Now, I notice that in this particular instance, you have a reduction in salaries. You explained that, a decrease, in the allocation for salaries and cost of living.
Not really, you know. Look at the original for 2019. It was
62?
60. No,
Yeah.
the original.
60.
And the original for 2020 is also 60. So there's
Okay.
no real decrease.
All right, so it was a reduction on the revised
On the actuals,
estimates.
yes. Yeah, so we'll see how the actuals will
Okay.
be.
And when we go to, well, I will wait for that. And the issue is, I want to ask this question because are you really seeking to have the vacant posts filled, or in the light of the establishment of the Revenue Authority, you do not wish to do that?
Life goes on, you know.
Yes.
We need the support of the opposition to create the Revenue Authority, but we must always work in parallel, and we are pushing hard to fill all the vacant
Okay,
posts.
so you're trying
In
to
any
fill-
event, we've given the union the assurance that everybody who is in post would be eligible to be transferred to the Revenue Authority.
Okay.
So we're pushing hard to fill all the posts. We're not waiting on the Revenue Authority.
Okay. I'm fine, yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honourable Minister, just to follow up with respect to the line of questioning by the member for Caroni Central, you did mention the issue of the TTRA, and in advocating for the TTRA, you have also spoken about the challenges with respect to the complement of customs officers. I know we were speaking earlier about the amount of vacant positions, but would you be in a position at this time to tell us how many custom officers are currently on the establishment in terms of work
I
bodies?
don't have the exact figures, but I can provide that during the day.
Sure.
During today, I will provide that information.
Thank you.
Total numbers and also the total number of vacancies.
Thank you.
Member for Couva South.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I know that the Minister will willingly come forward with this information if it meets the line item. 21, government's contribution to group pension, daily rated workers, Minister. Is this in relation to the government's contribution to the much touted the pension for daily rated employees?
No,
No. Okay. Thank you very much.
it's going to be much more than that. We estimate it will be over $100 million a year.
And where you will incorporate it? Because
We will,
yesterday
from
you
the
said the
time-
Ministry of Finance will it be in the pensions?
I had said that we would implement it in this fiscal year, and we will. And once the numbers are finalized, we will make an appropriate provision for it.
So you have not signed any memorandum of understanding or agreement with the recognized majority union on this?
We have not finalized that yet. It's underway.
Member for Kabuto Manzanella.
Thank you. Honorable Minister, referring to the statement you made concerning 08 vacant posts, and you indicated that the TTRA would probably remove that problem that we're experiencing. And I don't understand how we would not have the same problem, because they would still need to have vacant posts filled, and you would still need the Public Service Commission, and therefore, would it not be more prudent to increase the staffing levels at the public service so they're able to fulfill their mandate?
Well, I think you're wrong on all points there. Firstly, this item has nothing to do with staffing at the Public Service Commission. That's not relevant. And secondly, the Revenue Authority is going to be a statutory authority which will be exempt from the provisions of the Service Commission. So I think you're wrong on all points there.
Item 004, Inland Revenue Division. Member for Caroni East.
Honorable Minister, what changes do you envisage or expect in fiscal year 2020, given the increase in the sum of $13,500,000 for your salaries?
Again, if you look at the original estimate for 2019,
Yes.
it was 92 million.
Yeah.
And the reason why only 75 million was spent was because, once again, the vacant posts in the Inland Revenue Division, which are significant, again, 100 or more, were not filled by the Public Service Commission. However, we have put back 88.5 million in the hope that in 2020, the Service Commission will fill these posts.
How many,
so that it is not anything significantly different from the original 2019 estimate.
Okay. What is your complement? Or
We'll get those numbers for you. I see we have some Inland Revenue people here, and we'll get those numbers for you within a very
Minister,
short period of time.
Yeah, Minister, you make the statements that there is difficulty in meeting the Board of Inland Revenue expectations to collect your taxes.
Pardon?
I said you're having difficulty in collecting your taxes, and you're making a statement that the Board of Inland Revenue has a number of vacancies, so do Customs and Excise. And if you're going through as a government for 4 years, don't blame us. If we didn't do it, we didn't do it. But you have been there for 4 years, and the Public Service Commission is the one who is impacting on the revenue that we should be collecting. And you, as Minister of Finance, have a responsibility to deal with that issue, and you can't slip it under the board and then say the vacant positions are not being filled and Public Service Commission are not filling it. If we're supposed to be getting billions of dollars more on the Board of Inland Revenue and the Customs and Excise not fulfilling their responsibility because of vacant positions, I would expect that as Minister of Finance and the Prime Minister, you all will do something about it as a government. Don't blame us 5 years ago. I mean, you have to do something now.
It's an intervention.
And I empathize with you when you can't collect your taxes. But don't blame the Public Service Commission. Do something about it.
Leading to a question. Well, I would like to intervene then, Madam Chairman. I think that statement from the member is ridiculous.
Oh, God.
You went through 5 years. You couldn't fill a single vacant post in Inland Revenue. And no, but you spoke. I did not interrupt you when you were talking.
Madam Chair, put some decency in the mind of the
I didn't say
Minister of
anything when you were
Finance.
talking, you know.
All right. So, if we could just, could we just recoil a bit? Every
If you talk
member,
nonsense, it wouldn't
1
be
minute.
nice.
Every member is allowed 5 minutes on an intervention. Caroni,
And I'm also a member.
East, you had your intervention, and the Minister of Finance is entitled to his.
All right,
Yes,
but
as I
So
said-
let's keep it tuned.
As I said, for the 5 years and 3 months of the UNC government, you couldn't fill a single post in the Inland Revenue Division. The Einstein's definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and trying and expecting a different result. This is why we have put to the Parliament the concept of a revenue authority which is separated from the strictures of the personnel department and the Service Commission, and we expect you to support it because you went through 5 years and couldn't fill a single post.
Member for Caroni Central. Member for Caroni
Yes.
Central.
Okay, Madam Speaker. The reason I asked the question about whether you intended to fill any vacancies in Customs and Excise is because there is an increased provision here in Inland Revenue, and there will be things that come up later. There's an increased provision here for Inland Revenue, but none for Customs and Excise. And while I take your word for it, that you intend to increase the filling of vacancies in both, the numbers, though, do not reflect that.
That's not a true statement. I just had a big discussion with the member for Komoto Manzanilla about a $2 million increase in the provision for Customs and Excise salaries and cost of living allowance. So you can't make that statement. It is not factual. We have provided for vacant posts in Customs, and we have provided for vacant posts in Inland Revenue, and we're going to push to fill them all.
Okay, we will interrogate it as we go.
Yeah,
on.
but I mean, make
Yeah.
statements that are factual, not things that are not
Okay,
correct.
Member for Caronies.
Yeah, I was just going to ask the Honorable Minister if he believes that the Einstein theory should be applied to him.
All right, item 005, Treasury Division. Item 008, Investment Division.
And the answer is no.
Item 009, Central Tenders Board. Minister of Finance, I could barely hear myself. Item 009, Central Tenders Board. Member for Caroni Central. It's for 009.
Yes, 009, yes. The Minister, on this here Central Tenders Board, again it says includes provision for vacant posts, etc. And we go down, we see certain increases and so on. They're very small, so I wouldn't make a case of that. But I just want to ask the question, what is happening with the Central Tenders Board? I see later on there is something that suggests that you may be winding it up. But what is happening with Central Tenders Board as you move to the Procurement Regulatory Agency?
Clarify the vacant posts in this line item 00901, Central Tenders Board, salaries. The provision is for vacant posts with incumbents.
Yes.
So these are posts where there's somebody in it, but the person is not confirmed in the position. Okay. You will observe there's a minimal provision for vacant posts without incumbents, just $10,000.
Yes, and I acknowledge
I just
that.
want
Yes.
to make this clear.
Yeah.
And that should make it clear that we intend to proclaim that part of the procurement law which repeals the Central Tenders Board. You know that the Act has that in it, right?
Yes.
That it repeals. So since we are moving to implement, we would have to repeal it. So it will go out of existence.
Okay. How could you help me to understand the increase in the remuneration to board members?
What's going on there?
Item 06.
I'll have to get clarity on that.
All right.
I don't have those details at this time.
Okay.
Maybe they reclassify the board or something. I don't know.
All right.
Item 010, Valuations Department Division. Item 011, National Insurance Appeal Board Tribunal. Item member for Couva South.
Madam Chair, Minister, I see you have an increase of $162,000 for salaries and costs of living at the National Insurance Appeal Board Tribunal. How many vacant posts or what you intend to do with this increased allocation?
I'll get that information for you. We don't have it directly at hand, but before the day is out, we'll get it for you.
And is there, while I know you will tell me, because I am trying to focus on your line of thought this morning, how many appeals are currently pending at the National Insurance Board Tribunal?
Well, I think you were right when you said you know what I will tell you. I don't have that information at hand, but I will get it for you before the end of the day.
I'm trying to think along the lines of my colleague Karen East.
You were right. I mean, come on. You really expect me to have that information? How many appeals pending before the National Insurance Appeals Board? Be serious. We'll get it for you.
Item 014,
Yeah, Madam Chair.
Financial Intelligence Unit, member for Caroni East.
Yeah. Honorable Minister, this is a particularly important unit which we have in the country to rule out the issues of money laundering and so on. But I see you have only 1.7 million for salaries. Could you say how many people are employed in the FIU unit? That would see probably about 10 maximum.
Just 1 second.
And how many vacant positions, if you have it,
Just one.
and if you need to beef that up.
Hold on.
Have 5 people.
Yeah, no, I have a table here that might give us that information.
That should be fully staffed. And
Actually, no, I don't have those details, but I'll get it for you before the end of
But
the day.
could you give-
You want to know how many vacant posts there are? Exactly what you want to know?
No, well, how many positions are there in the FIU and
How many
vacant?
positions, how many are filled, how many are vacant?
Well, bearing in mind, yes, thank you. But bearing
get
in
it for you.
mind, if you do extrapolation of, let's say, 170,000 per person per year, that's 10 people. But do you believe, Honorable Minister, in light of what you all have been saying and what we have been saying as a responsible opposition, do you think that there's no need for increase in the amount of employees in the FIU unit?
Let me get the information first, and then we will deal with that.
Yeah, there is need, strong need for increase.
Okay, so member for Caroni Central.
Question, Minister. Last year, in response to a question, you indicated that there were about 28 employees in that unit, and that you were taking a cabinet note for another 11. First of all, did you fill any new posts? Did you take the cabinet note? And did you have additional hirings, or will you have additional hirings in FIU?
Firstly, let me clarify that the personnel in the FIU are a combination of public officers and contract officers.
That's right.
So there would be a provision elsewhere under other contracted services and so on. Yes, my memory tells me, yes, that was approved, and that they have initiated the process of filling posts, but I will get the details for you before the end of the day.
Thank you very much.
Item 017, Office of the Supervisor of Insolvency. Head 02, Goods and Services. Item 001, General Administration, member for Shogunas East.
Thank you, Madam Chair. 02, Goods and Services, General Administration. May I refer to line items, Honorable Minister, line items 16 and 22. There has been some substantial increases in those sums of allocated. Could you give us a sense as to what is responsible for this increase, and how many positions will these cater for in both 16 and 22 contiguously?
The bulk of this is for the restructuring of the Economic Management Division, because we will be hiring people on contract first and short-term first, and then go into establishment positions.
Might you be able to answer the second part, how many persons you expect or propose to have in that restructuring
I'll get that
process?
info for you.
Okay, thank you. For both 16 and 22?
Yeah, but it's for the restructuring, mainly for the restructuring of the
Okay.
Economic Management Division into a debt management and a fiscal policy division.
Yes, member for Shogunas East.
May I also, since, if it with your permission, Madam Chair, under the same item, heading, but line item 23 on page 88, we have fees There has been an increase of almost $8 million. Could you explain to us what those fees are?
Sure. The fees include a provision for analytical services. For the rating agencies. Remember we
Oh,
have,
from the rating agency?
yeah, we've added another rating agency. At this time, we also get a rating from Fitch. At
Which
this
is the
time.
one you added, sir? Sorry?
Fitch.
Fitch, right. Good.
The big three. We now do S&P, Moody's, and Fitch.
Okay, thank you.
Member for Princestown?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, line item 34, the University Graduate Recruitment Program. When this announcement was made a few budgets ago, it was with a lot of fanfare. And the numbers reflect that 2018 to where we are today, that there's been no expenditure. Does this mean that no one was ever hired in the Ministry of Finance for this program? And can you indicate why?
That is correct, and I can tell you why. There was a view that it should not be restricted to outstanding graduates. The policy, as you may recall from the first budget, was that this was really geared towards people who got first class honors, upper second class, and so on. But there was a point of view that you should not restrict it to just those high achievers, and it should be for all graduates, which has slowed down the process. We are still of the view that you should give preference to high achievers with this program. So that's the reason why.
Member for Princestown?
Thank you, ma'am. Minister, can you indicate whether or not this policy is across the board in all ministries?
Yes, across the board, yeah. In fact, we got some pushback from the public servants. We wanted to, yeah, I'm telling you as it is, we wanted to employ high achievers, and they felt it should be anybody, anybody even with a past degree. So it has got, a bit stuck, a bit bogged down because of that.
Minister,
Telling you like it is.
I find that a little strange because I know you push back as well.
Yes, I know.
So
but
that's a compromise.
Yes, I know. It's one of the things where I kind of gave way. Okay? Right.
Member for Caroni Central?
No, I'm doing that later.
I have a couple of questions. Some of them are follow-up. On the issue, on page 87, 17, training, I just want to know if that training is related to the Economic Management Unit.
87.
Oh, you're going back?
It's the
No,
same
no, it's
item.
the same thing.
I know, but
Yeah.
going back a page. 17, training.
You said the contract employment were for that unit.
That's across the board.
That's
when
across
we
the
send
board?
people abroad to various training courses or even
Okay.
locally. That's for everybody.
All right, and then on other contracted services, 28, analytical services, and you have here what it provides. This particular legal counsel and advisory services, is it that you are going to hire additional lawyers in the ministry, or is it a combination of that and the hiring of external lawyers?
It's external.
Right.
Just external.
Okay. Then the issue of the rating agencies, you cleared it up. I know you had announced that you would add Fitch
We have added
to
that.
the group, but Fitch has never reported on the country
It
yet.
has never reported publicly.
Okay.
It's private.
So it's not it is not like the other agencies.
I don't know. When you engage a rating agency, you can choose
Uh-huh.
to engage them to do a public rating or a private rating. If you do a public rating, it means you're locked into them almost for life because they have to keep following up the country
I
every 6
understand.
months, every 3
Yes.
months, so that we have not yet made the decision to lock into Fitch. Already we have S&P and Moody's. I am not permitted to say much except that it's very favorable rating. That's all I can say.
Minister, that is even,
I hate to burst your bubble.
I know, but that is even more reason for the matter to be public.
I know, but then
so
we,
that
then
we can have
no,
the
but
comparison.
you see, then you are going to be locked in to a third rating agency for life. So it's a cost to the country. So we are very prudent in the
All
Ministry
right.
of Finance.
All right,
Very
Minister,
prudent.
I hear you. You have Fitch's third agency, but
It's private.
these reports are private.
Private.
Okay. Then you have consultants to the Ministry of Finance.
Yes.
10 million.
I'll give you an example. We recently hired a consultant to look at amendments to the Insurance Act to advise us on how we should tax insurance companies now that the concept of a consolidated fund will disappear, because the current insurance legislation requires insurance companies to be taxed on the income from the assets in the consolidated fund. In the new insurance regime, there's no longer going to be a consolidated fund. They have to put up capital, I think up to 150% of their liabilities and so on. So we had to hire a consultant to determine whether we should tax insurance companies like a corporation at 30%, or whether we should use a different regime. And we've received advice, and I have announced that we're going to be coming to amend the Insurance Act using a similar formula to what was before, but now you're looking at the actual assets of the entities. So those are the kind of consultants that we hire from time to time. We hire persons to advise us on acquisition of assets, for example, the fast ferries and so on. We hire people to advise the Ministry of Finance on the loan documentation and so on. So these consultants are all really related to the business and to the business of the ministry, debt financing and so on.
Okay, and then the next one, which is really 6 Roman numeral, electronic media monitoring services. I'm intrigued by that.
Well, that's something that we inherited from your government.
Okay, tell me.
There's an agency that monitors radio reports, television, newspaper, and does a summary.
So the ministers can
Everybody
respond,
gets
so
it.
to
Everybody
speak.
in the ministry gets it. But we inherited it from your government.
All
We
right.
just continued it.
Okay.
Okay.
All
concept's good.
And then 7, strategic management and execution services. Is that to follow execution for the budget or something else?
Let me get you some greater details on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, because we have another division called strategic management.
Yes.
So let me get you some further information on that.
Later.
Yeah, today, I'll get it
All
for
right.
you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, Honourable Minister, may I return you to line item 34? When this announcement was made, if my memory serves me correct, there was a $55 million allocation for this program. Can you say whether any money at all? Because we are seeing this in very many ministries where $1 million is allocated annually and no money is being used. At a time when we have a high level of youth unemployment and graduates who don't have jobs, and many of them may be scholarship winners, and you spoke this morning about your restructuring of your economics and analytics and so on. Is this program being disbanded, or has this money been transferred to the OJT program? Could you tell us what is happening with this graduate program?
I think I answered that already.
The 55
I
million.
gave a complete answer to the member for Princestown.
Could you tell me if
in English?
Any money at all out of the 55 was
I
used?
told him all of that already. You're asking the same question over and over again.
Could you remind me how much was used?
No, I'm not reminding you. I told him. He asked me and I told him. I answered that already. I answered it in full.
You said how much was used? None? So what happened to the money? Is it being transferred via to something else?
No, that's a different question. The answer is no.
Okay. I mean, this is a distraught to these young people in this country.
Okay, thank you for that comment.
Member for Carney East.
Renee Central asked the question on the Roman numeral 8.
Member for Princestown.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honourable Minister, to draw your attention, line item 62 and 66.
And I would ask your colleagues to pay attention to you when you ask questions, so they wouldn't ask me the same question again.
Member Minister of Finance.
It's just
please.
trying to
Thank
help.
you.
Just trying to help.
Member for Princestown.
Minister, line item 62 and 66. I had the opportunity to look across most ministries with respect to this particular line item, and I noticed there was a decrease in most ministries. But in Ministry of Finance, 62 and 66, that deals with promotions, publicity and printing, hosting of conferences, seminars, and other functions, have seen an increase under the Ministry of Finance. Can you tell us what was the thinking with respect to increasing these while the other areas have been decreased in other ministries?
Well, again, that is a bit of a misinterpretation, a sort of a false construct. If you look at 2019 original, it's $1 million. And if you look at 2020 original, it's $1 million. Okay, for 62. You see it? So it's no different.
Yes, Minister, but in an earlier answer, you told us you were streamlining based on what was more realistic. So I'm saying if you saw in the past years where there was a decrease, then why come back with an increase this year
Because
when you have decreased the other ministries?
we
So
haven't-
therefore, you are really cherry picking in terms of the streamlining.
I don't recall any conversation with respect to this line item in any other ministry where I said I'm streamlining and reducing the allocation for promotion, publicity, and printing. I never said that.
I agree
That
with
never
you.
happened.
You used it in the context of other line items. So I'm assuming that you would have ensured across the board that you would have applied the same policy as you applied under the graduate training program.
That is a false assumption.
Well,
There are some things where you make an allocation based on forecasting and you expect to spend the money that you have allocated. Sometimes you spend the money, sometimes you spend less, sometimes you spend more. So we are of the view this is an appropriate allocation for promoting publicity and printing, and I might say it's a fraction of what the UNC spent on this.
I was wondering, Minister,
Probably
does
about
this
5%.
Does this have anything to do as well with the anticipation of the TTRA?
No.
No.
It's just normal advertisements in the papers, like from Inland Revenue and that sort of thing. For example, with the tax amnesty, the ministry paid for some ads recently encouraging people to come in, telling people that the amnesty was extended. That's what it's for. There's nothing sinister here.
Member for Caroni Central.
Item 34 again. I just want to confirm my understanding that across the ministries and including yours, there were no hirings of university graduates under this program, which was announced some time ago. And secondly, although you indicated based on a question last time that you would hire 10 in the ministry, none were hired. I understand why by your explanation, but I just want to confirm that that is true.
Now, why would I confirm something I told to Princess Town?
All right, thank you. So you are confirming.
Well, I'm not
I want to
confirming
ask a second question, though. Is this program originally conceived for what you can say the better graduates?
I told Princess Town that.
Yeah, I know. Is this program going to now be is the OJT program that you announced for 8,000 going to be sort of absorbed in this?
I addressed that in a question, answered a question from Chaguanas East. The answer is no.
Okay, so the answer to that is no. I didn't hear that.
I really don't want to answer this question again. You know, it's now the third time.
No, but I didn't hear that.
I answered him and I answered him.
Okay, well, I understand the answer now. So I make that clear. So there are therefore two programs, one that you announced which has not been fulfilled because of various reasons that you advanced, and the OJT program, which is to cater for 8,000.
But OGT is not in the Ministry of Finance. You're asking me about another ministry. I suggest when the Minister of Labour comes, you ask her.
All right, I will ask the Minister of Labour, but
This is not OGT.
given that you are the Minister of Finance
No, it
doing
don't
the
work so.
allocation,
You want me to
reading
answer
the budget.
everything on everything? I'm not doing that.
So can
No,
we
but
proceed?
you are an expert on everything, Minister.
I'm
Item
glad you know.
zero
but
Yes,
zero-
I'm not going to answer.
I am
Item
conceding that you are.
002 Budget Division. Member for Caroni Central.
You moved on?
Yes, item 002 on page 89, Budget Division.
Okay. All right, I have just two quick questions there, which is, no, I will leave that, Madam Speaker. Madam Chair.
Yeah, that's fine. Item 003, Custom and Excise Division, member for Chaguanas East.
Honorable Minister, line item 28, other contracted services. And I want to refer particularly to Roman numeral 3 and 8. Could you tell us of your total amount of scanners, how many are currently working?
All,
All. How many are those? Just to remind me of the figure.
I'll get the number for you.
And the maintenance, X-ray scanners, you have a figure of 2 million. Well, I think I just wanted to refer to line item 8. So you'll get the figure. Thank you.
Member for Old West?
Thank you. Honorable Minister, line item 23, fees. I'm seeing an increase of 1.3 million. Can you account for this?
I will get further clarification for you.
Member for Carnegie East?
Line item 28, Honorable Minister, and if you go into your column, includes provision for Roman numeral 1, operational cost of container examination stations at Point Lisas and Port of Spain, 11 million allocated. Bearing in mind the Manufacturers Association and the business sector complaining bitterly about the long delays in clearing containers. And obviously this has to relate to the examination of containers as well. What can you say in relation to that? Does it need more bodies? Does it need more productivity? You're spending 11 million. Do you need to spend more? Or how would you deal with that situation based on the complaints that the general business community are making?
You require these examination stations because, based on profiling, containers are selected for secondary inspection. We have a problem in Trinidad and Tobago. You can't avoid the fact that some persons try to import contraband and firearms and drugs through our ports. We have to be very, very careful. Yes, some businesses may complain that there are delays, but it's absolutely unavoidable. We can't abandon the container examination stations, and I think that from what I've seen, they're reasonably efficient.
Well, I appreciate what you're saying, and we're in sync with you on that we need to clear these things properly. But if you parallel Trinidad and Tobago with some of the other countries, how is it they're able to clear containers faster, by far faster than we're doing? Because they're searching for drugs, they are searching for contraband issues as well. How is it they are doing it more efficiently when we are lagging behind?
That's a false equivalency.
No,
you have no data to
the
support
data
what you're
suggests
saying.
that
Which country are you talking about?
Well,
Call one.
across the board. Singapore, Rotterdam.
Singapore? Listen, Singapore is not at the gateway to South America, is not next door to Venezuela, is not next door to the cocaine-producing regions of the world. You can't use that as a false equivalency.
No, Minister. Minister, cocaine is shipped around the world. So they have to check for cocaine and contraband things as well.
We have
to check for
particular
it.
problems
But
in
we're
Trinidad. You
taking
can't
2 weeks
avoid
to
that
check for
fact.
it.
We have arms and ammunition coming through in containers.
I'm trying to help
we
you.
have
We as the alternate
narcotics
government
coming through
trying
in
to help you.
containers.
Okay.
That's a
trying to
false
help you.
So
equivalency.
both of you all can
Analyze
speak at
it.
the same time.
Is 11 million enough to help the manufacturing industry, which is losing billions of dollars because of the delay?
I'm sorry, I reject your figures.
So you're not giving.
You have no facts to back up what you're saying.
You have no explanation to the business
I
community.
said that this is reasonably efficient, and I reject your data.
But if you accept that is reasonable, efficient, I feel very sad for
Okay, you could be sad, but I reject
very
your
sad.
Okay,
data.
so can we move on?
You're
Member for
stating
Carnegie
false
Central.
facts.
Yes, Chair. I want to ask a question on 28 other contracted services, the same area there. And it's related to what I said to the minister before, that some of the questions I asked might be related to his intention to have the TTRA. When you look at this, a number of things have to do with customs and border protection. For instance, Roman numeral 5 for $7.5 million. And then UNCTAD Customs Border Control System, $2 million. And the minister himself talked about the fact that, you know, we were in a particular zone, and you had guns, you had drugs, and so on. Now, given that we are doing this, with customs, and given the government's intention to establish a TTRA which will bring customs and BIR together, what would happen to the initiatives being taken here, because I consider that they are valuable?
That's it, the question done?
Yes.
Okay. One of the things I had the honor to do when I came in as Minister of Finance is to sign a treaty with the United States for cooperation and collaboration in customs and border protection, which the UNC refused to do. So I had the honor to do that. We would continue to collaborate with the United States Customs and Border Protection, whether we have a TTRA or not, if the Minister of National Security wants to come in.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Minister of Finance. Madam Chair, just to add from a national security perspective, as I've listened to the conversation and to add to what the Minister of Finance has just said, this government has been working assiduously with a number of international bodies and at no cost to us. So for example, one of the initiatives, again, that was not pursued in a previous time is something called C Corp and A Corp, where we're getting assistance, professional assistance from the EU in addition to the North American assistance. And they've come down and we've set up multi-agency teams, customs and excise, immigration, special units from the police service, the defense force, and our intelligence services to do exactly what is being suggested, the interdiction at ports and stuff like that. Of course, we can't get into the specifics, but that is happening. I've signed the MOU. As soon as this budget is over, we kick it off, actually. And that is going to have a serious effect on these illegal flows through some of our legal ports of entry. So it doesn't have to be, we are not all about focus throwing money behind it. We're making do with what we have, and we're putting together some special units that are dedicated to deal with the interdiction and getting the international assistance. International assistance also comes with hardware and assets.
And I think it's a good thing for the country, Madam Chair. And what the question I was really asking is that if you integrate customs as part of a revenue authority in which their main business is going to be now collection of taxes, are these sets of initiatives which are national security focused? Are they going to be moved? Is a new agency going to be
No, they will
set up?
continue.
Huh?
They will continue. Right now, there's collaboration
Correct.
between customs and
Immigration,
all of these
police,
international
etc.,
agencies.
correct.
If the TTRA is established, the collaboration will continue. They will not be moved anywhere else. The collaboration has to be with the customs entity, whether it is part of the Revenue Authority or not, whether it's a standalone as it is now,
Yes.
or whether it's part of a larger revenue collection agency. The collaboration will be with that entity,
All
which
right.
will be part of the TTR.
Thank you very much.
Member for Point Chair. Member for Kamucha Mansanilla.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, the former Senate and Finance Committee indicated that there was a question posed to you regarding whether Columbus Communication, that's line item 28, other contracted services, whether Columbus Communication was an entity, whether it exists or does not exist. I see that there is Roman numeral 4.
I don't remember anybody asking me that.
That was at a Senate
me.
Finance Committee, and the question was posed to you by Dr. Khan,
To who?
to you, sir.
Me? When?
And you indicated that
Which
you will get the
committee?
information.
When was this?
Okay. Let me just ask a question.
Yeah, don't make up
Is
stories.
the Columbus Communication an operational and active entity, Honorable Minister?
I beg your pardon?
Is Columbus Communications an operational and active entity?
I would think so.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it exists.
That's a line item.
Yeah. There's service from Columbus Communications, but
That's the internet service
I thought
provider.
everybody in this country knows who Columbus
Flow.
Communications is. They own Flow.
They own Flow.
I don't understand the question. You don't have cable?
It was,
Shall I
it was an
direct line
answer
to God, but you
you
need
promised to
cable phone.
provide, Honorable Minister, and
Not
so we're
in
asking.
this, that never happened.
Okay,
This is
sir.
the first time Ministry of Finance has been examined in this finance committee. Don't try that.
I said at a previous
Well,
standing
that is
committee.
irrelevant, and I don't believe you anymore.
Okay, Minister. Item 004, Inland Revenue Division. Minister, member for Caroni Central.
Questions, Minister. Items 37 and 43. I mean, is there any reason why you have this increase in janitorial services and security services? You know, and I think that when you look at the budget in many ministries, this increase happens, and it has happened for several years.
I could answer that.
Right, okay.
You know, we've moved into a new building on the government campus, the new Inland Revenue Tower. Customs has moved into a new building, also on the government campus. The Evaluations Division is occupying a new building in Barataria. So it's because of occupation of new buildings, there's an increased requirement for security and janitorial. Okay?
Member for Point of Prayer.
Repairs and maintenance of equipment. There's a hefty increase of $15 million budgeted for this year. Could you explain why such a hefty increase? Line item 15 under Inland Revenue Division.
Well, you will see that the original allocation in 2019 was 6.5, eh? So it's the same as...
No.
14.
Oh, you're on page 9,
14,
you're going
yeah.
back. Oh, I thought it was on 93.
No, we're still in 004.
Yeah.
Line item
Okay, where are we?
Line item 15. Repairs and maintenance of equipment.
I'll have to get that information for you. I'll get it for you.
Okay, member for Caroni East.
Yeah, following that, line item 16, just below that, Honorable Minister, contract employment of increase of 4 million from 16 million to 20 million. Would that be trying to assist you in getting more workers for the Board of Inland Revenue, or what is that?
I'll get it for you. But as I said, this is a division where we experience significant problems in getting the Service Commission to fill vacant posts. So there is a dire need for contract employment, but I'll get the rationale. But if you look at the 2019 original, you'll see it was 20 million.
Yeah,
So the
I saw it.
forecast for 2019 was 20.
So
it means that they didn't fill all of these contract positions. So we're going again to try and fill all of them in 2020.
I wish you well.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, line item 04 on the Inland Revenue. Just wondering if with the decrease, I know the 04 takes into consideration 04 to 06, which includes a decrease in water and sewage rates. If the Honorable Minister has taken into consideration with this increase, if shouldn't it be a decrease in light of the fact that you will be implementing LED bulbs?
This would be affected by the rental of new buildings and increase electricity costs because of the usage of more floor space and greater accommodation. We've just hired, for example, 200 additional people in the evaluations division. That is no small number of persons. So the electricity demands for air conditioning and for computer equipment, etc., will go up.
Member for Puch West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, line item 05 on the telephones. I'm seeing it's almost over 2 million increase in telephones. I'm just trying to inquire what these people calling, or who they are calling in land revenue, all this increase in phone. Oh, why is this additional allocation of 2 million?
Again, Madam Chairman, again, I would draw members' attention. If my own members would kind of seize and settle.
I'm not hearing
My
you.
own members would
Honorable-
seize and settle.
It appears, Minister of Finance, that your voice most probably is losing strength. So your
Yes.
members want to assist you.
No,
Anyway,
no, I have
could
to
we-
answer that.
Could we have a little?
I need to answer it.
Can we
Yes.
have some order, please? Minister of Finance.
I would like to make a general point. When these statements are made about an increase, they are made in a vacuum. Look at the original allocation for telephones for 2019. It was 5 million. And the current original for 2020 is 5. It's the same amount. What happened was that in 2019, the Inland Revenue Division was very efficient and very economical in the use of telephones.
Yeah.
So it didn't spend as much money as was allocated for it. And we expect also in 2020 they do the same thing. There'll be very high efficient, very high achieving people.
That is not quite so. If you check the other heads, they're the gradual increase
Other
in
heads, I'm only
telephones.
talking about
And
inland
the other
revenue.
ministries that we
I
have
am
done.
speaking only of inland revenue.
Member
no.
for Uruguay
Don't draw me
West,
into anything
we're
else.
dealing with this particular.
Don't draw me into anything else.
Okay?
Don't try that.
But what I'm saying, Honorable Minister, is that when we had done all the heads yesterday,
You see-
it's a
you see what
gradual
she's doing?
thing.
All right.
That
So
is
we go on to-
irrelevant.
Yes.
Member-
Irrelevant.
Member for Princess.
Irrelevant.
Member for Carney Central, I'm sorry.
Yes, I want to go to item 28 on 008 investments. I can go there?
What page is that?
4?
No, he's moved along.
Okay, sorry.
All
It's
right.
all right, you could move. No problem. Could move along.
So we move on. 005, Treasury Division. 008, Investment Division. I now call on member for Carney Central. That's
Ye-
where you are.
Yes, Minister, 28, item 28, other contracted services. Now, I see the estimates for 2019, which was 45 million. And then only 3 million was spent. And then you have 96 million now, and an increase of 93 million. And it says, includes provision for divestment of state enterprises and special audits. Now, my question is, which enterprises are you going to divest, or are you going to do some work that will determine that? And secondly, how many special audits, and what, if you know, what are the particular state enterprises that are going to be audited? Yeah.
I can get that for you, but I mean, the increase is significant. One of the things we're doing is looking at the pension plan for Petrotrin, for example, which is quite expensive, because there were queries about the sufficiency of Petrotrin's pension plan, whether it was adequate to meet the needs of all the pensioners. So that's one of the audits that we are doing. We've hired a firm of actuaries to do that. So it's things like that, but I can get the breakdown for you.
Yeah, I
of
think
this
it will be
93
important. Also, the question of which enterprises are due
I'll get the
for
breakdown for you.
divestment.
Yeah,
Okay,
I'll get the
thanks.
breakdown for you.
Item 009, Central Tenders Board. Item 010, Valuation Division. Member for Shogunas East.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, line item 16, there has been a consistent high amount there. In fact, there was a big jump from 18 to 19, all of which was utilized, and more was utilized. Could you give us a sense of what this $29 million in 2020 is expected to be used for, and how many persons? If you don't have the information now,
What-
96, we are
page
page
96.
line,
96.
page
Jump to
96,
96.
line item 16.
Page 96. 16. Yes, as I told you, we have employed 200 additional field inspectors, field assessors in the valuations division to assess properties. So that's why you would see contract employment in the valuations division increasing.
You're employing less people than expected?
Less people? What do you
Or
mean?
so you have a decrease from the previous,
Of $800,000?
yeah, small amount, yeah.
That's not significant.
Right, okay. So that exercise continues,
Yeah.
right.
Item 011, National Insurance Appeal Board Tribunal. Item 014, Financial Intelligence Unit. Member for Carney East.
Honorable Minister, under line item 16, the contract employment for the FIU, in your earlier statements, you said that you were trying to get more people to work. Is that part of the situation where you're going to get contract employment to help you with the FIU? Page 97.
97. Just now, I'm
Item
getting
16.
Item
conflicting
16.
information here. Page 97, FIU.
Yeah. Line item 16, contract employment.
Yes, as I said, we have a combination of public officers and contract officers in
Okay,
FIU.
that satisfies you.
So that's where we get the numbers from.
Item 017, Office of the Supervisor of Insolvency. Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases, we are at page 99. Item 001, General Administration. Item 002, Budget Division. Item 003, Customs and Excise Division. Item 004, Inland Revenue Division, we are at page 100. Item 005, Treasury Division. Item 008, Investments Division. Item 009, Central Tenders Board. Item 010, Valuations Division. Item 011, National Insurance Appeal Board Tribunal. Item 014, Financial Intelligence Unit. Item 017, Office of the Supervisor of Insolvency. Subhead 04, we're at page 102, Current Transfers and Subsidies.
Yes, madam.
Member for Point of Pear.
So, under current transfers and subsidies, under the Treasury Division, contribution to the Caribbean Development Bank. In 2019, you had originally estimated $77.5 million to be contributed. In 2019, the government contributed $15 million, and you have now budgeted $15 million this year, 2020. What was the rationale in 2019, original estimate of $77 million, and you only contributed $15 million? Was there a reason for the smaller amount of contribution? And
Contribution under the SPF line was supposed to be the US equivalent of $77 million, and we've since gotten approval and received paid. So this is just a token cash flow.
When you become a member of these multilateral financial institutions, you can pay up your shares either in cash or by way of a promissory note. In 2019, the plan was to pay in cash, but we approached the Caribbean Development Bank and they've agreed that we can simply give them a promissory note, because this money is really for the other members of the bank, the less developed countries, as part of a pool of loan funds. So it's only required when it is required. So it's across the board in all the institutions in the Inter-American Development Bank, the World Bank, and so on. You are allowed either to put a promissory note, which you would have to make good on if it's called upon, or you pay cash. And for cash flow purposes, we have been able to reduce this down to promissory note and some cash. Okay?
thank you.
Member for Carney East.
Yeah, thank you, Minister. Following that question, what is our annual contribution to the CDB? If
We'll get that for you.
all right, and can I ask have we drawn down anything from CDB over the last year or two?
Not as far as I know, but I mean, I'm sure the Minister of Planning could give further details.
All right, okay. The line item 12, Honorable Minister, under the same current transfers and subsidies, the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility. I know we pay a certain amount, like 40 million in 2018. 2019, we paid 41 million, and 2020 is estimated to be 53 million. Does that vary from year to year? That's the first question.
We have been looking very carefully at the cover under the Caribbean Catastrophe Fund. We were very successful a couple of years ago in terms of the payout that we got. We actually got almost $50 million.
Yeah, go ahead.
We actually got over $50 million in terms of a payout for an extreme rainfall event that occurred a couple of years ago. Then a year ago, we did not get the kind of payout that we anticipated because it's based on risk profiles and it's based on probabilities and statistics. In other words, when you take the cover out, you project a certain level of rainfall and if there's an earthquake event, the intensity of the earthquake. So we went back to the drawing board and we have reevaluated our cover and our risk profiles, and therefore we have adjusted our premiums and we're in a much better place now. I think if we have another catastrophic event, we will get a very large payout. So it's based on advice from the technocrats.
Based on advice?
Advice from the technocrats. You see, what you do when you, just like
Sure.
let me use an analogy of car insurance.
Yeah.
You might decide to have a large excess. You might figure you would never get into an accident. So you'd have a large excess of 10,000 or 20,000. And if you get into an accident, well, you will cry. Or you could decide you're going full comprehensive with, you pay a much higher premium and there's no excess and therefore you get fully compensated. So that's the analogy. So what the technocrats have done is gone back to the drawing board, looked at the events and the probabilities associated with each level of event, reconfigured our policy, and based on all the advice we're in a much better place now. If, God forbid, there is a catastrophic event, we'll get a very large payout.
Have we ever drawn down on that?
I just told you that. We got $50 million a couple of years ago because of an extreme rainfall event. We did very well.
Last year? Last year?
How much we got?
Questions, Chair. And I hope we never have to draw on the insurance for catastrophe. But two questions, one on 07, current transfers and subsidies. For CARTAC, I noticed that the amount is being reduced. But I just want to ask, what are they doing for us now, Minister? I know that generally they work with the CSO.
What CARTAC gives us technical assistance.
Yes.
And the allocation will depend on what we forecast for the year. So it depends on what we foresee occurring during the year.
Are they involved with us right now, doing anything?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And that is with the CSO, can you? Yeah.
Yeah.
If I may. Thank you. Member, they continue to work with the CSO because as we're moving to the national Statistical Institute, we want to make sure that the training is up to par and so on. So they continue to work with the CSO on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And the second question on 04. Oh, no, this is another item. Sorry. It's another line item.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Honorable Minister, and as a follow-up to the question that you responded to with Caroni East, and you said there was a drawdown of 50 million. Can you advise whether that monies were in fact used, if you said it was for the flood, for compensation to persons who were impacted by floods?
That's not in this fiscal year or last fiscal year. Not relevant, asked and answered years ago.
Honorable Minister, current transfers and subsidies. The Andean Bank, do we pay an annual contribution to CAF? I'm not seeing it here.
It's the the Development Bank of Latin America.
Yes.
That's the correct name.
Yeah, well, I know it as Andean Bank.
I know what you know, but the correct name is the Development Bank of Latin America.
I did my master's in international relations.
Listen. Let me repeat the bank is called the Development Bank of Latin America. Whether you did studies or not, it seems you didn't study the right thing.
Right.
It's the Development Bank of Latin
Just
America.
like you in engineering, you have three
You
masters.
didn't study the right thing.
Okay, member for point of pair. Member for point of pair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Still under
And I win the
current,
case.
still under current transfers and subsidies, page 104, under the Treasury Division, Minister of Finance.
Yeah.
03, expenses in connection with international financial institutions. You have a hefty increase of $71 million for the 2020 estimate. Revised in 2019 was 40 million, 40.8. Could you explain what this hefty increase of 71, the expenses related to these international financial institutions?
Page 104, item
104.
02.
Yes, the contribution to the Corporación Andina de Fomento, which if the member had really studied international relations, he would know is the Development Bank of Latin America, is included there. You can't speak English. You can't speak English. You can't speak English.
Page 104.
Okay, so if we will all pay a little attention and stop the banter, I think it will be a more productive exercise for us. We at page 104, the member for point of pair had asked under the item 03.
He asked me what that was for.
That entire amount is for that?
No, for the Corporación Andina de Fomento or Development Bank of Latin America or CAF. The contribution is 35 million. The contribution to the Multilateral Investment Fund, 7 million. International Monetary Fund, 1 million. Inter-American Investment Corporation, 17.5 million. That's the breakdown. That's how you get up to the 70.
Right. So I just want to add a clarity. The 35 million that you just described would
It's
go
for
to
CAF.
for CAF.
Yeah.
Why that hefty amount this budgeted year of 35 million? Is that
We are now a full member of the Development Bank of Latin America. And that with that full membership comes benefits and responsibilities. We're getting tremendous benefits from the CAF. They've already lent us $700 million US, and we have another tranche of 100 million to get this month actually for infrastructure work. The previous loans were for budget support, and we are in discussions with CAF right now for loans for a lot of our development projects. So with those benefits, they have qualified Trinidad and Tobago for a pipeline of loans totaling over $2 billion US. So with that benefit comes a responsibility as a full shareholder to make a contribution of this level. But it's more than compensated for by the access to the loan funding. That's why you join these banks, because if you had to go to commercial banks, you pay much more. You get moratoriums, you get low interest rates, that kind of thing.
Member for Caroni Central.
To go back to page 10304, the Global Forum on Transparency, Exchange of Information for Tax Purposes. Is there any reason, I know it's not, I mean, you're not talking about $1 billion increase here, but it's still, you know, is it for more services or is it an increase in the rate or what?
No, your government joined us to the Global Forum.
Also to CAF, I want to let you know.
What's the relevance of that?
I just mentioned it now.
Just for
Since you take the opportunity
Just
to
for
mention
so?
what we joined.
Just for so?
Yeah, just because you take the opportunity to mention what we joined.
So this is just our fees that we have to pay them? If you look at...
It's just fees, it's just increased fees.
No, it's not increased. Look at it. It's the same amount that was put in 2019. It's just that all we paid in 2019 was 151, but look at the amount. It's 356 and 356.
All right, okay, so it remains the same.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
All right.
Would the minister be in a position to give us some information with respect to the payments to Corporación de what Andy and back was.
Corporación
Whatever.
Andina de
Would you be
Fomento.
in a position to give us an appreciation of how much we have paid so far and the years of payment?
Well, we only just began to borrow, eh? So
Yeah,
that
no.
I am answering you.
Okay, go
We
ahead.
only just began to borrow, and therefore we would not have paid very much at this point in time, but I will get the information for you.
My understanding, when we were in government, we paid a substantial amount of that so that you could draw down now. When we didn't draw down, you were drawing down on the
Hold
town.
on, clarify what you're saying. You're talking about the,
I just wanted
you're
to,
talking about the subscription, what are you saying?
no.
Which
The
line item are
subscription
you
to
on?
the Andean Bank,
Which
yeah.
line item are you on?
Huh?
Line item.
But we were just discussing that.
No, which one are you on now?
Anyway, you just evading. You
All
don't
right,
want to
so
go
we
through
move
to the
on?
point.
What are you talking about?
Item 003, United Nations Organizations.
Crazy.
Item 004, international bodies. Item 005, non-profit institutions. Item 007, households. Item 009, other transfers. We had households? Member for Caronies Central,
Okay, two quick questions.
page 105.
Yes. This food price support program, Minister,
I'm listening.
I just want to ask you, how does this work? Is this through the social services program? I just want to understand.
I'll get clarity, I think so, but let me just
Yeah.
make sure before I respond to you. It is the cash card, the food card. That's what
Okay,
it's
so
called.
this is it limited to that? Is it?
What we do is we top up the account every now and then.
Yes,
It's
okay.
for the conditional cash transfer
I
program.
thought it might be that, but is it for food card alone
Yeah.
or more?
Yeah, yeah.
Right, okay. And then the VSEP for Central Tenders Board.
Which line item you on?
This is on
17.
17. Now, remember I had raised the question before. I knew you would eventually have to come to this, but is this scheduled then based on the allocation here for 2020?
Well, clearly, if the Central Tenders Board is to be disbanded,
Okay,
you would offer employees there the option to go to the
procurement
board, be redeployed within the public service or take VSEP.
Okay, so this is
it's
what
a provision
this is
for
about.
that, yes.
And this is likely to happen this year?
Well, that's why we have the provision.
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Rudy?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Under households, 40 gratuities to contract workers. Minister, I think yesterday you indicated to the meeting that you would provide information on this particular issue and how this $21,134,400 will be disbursed to contract officers and so on.
Yes, what's the specific question?
It is a new sub-item. And you said yesterday that you will explain in terms of the payment.
What the Treasury has done in this year is decentralize the payment of gratuity. Prior to this year, all gratuities were paid by the Treasury Division. So now allocations have been made in each ministry for payment of gratuities to contract officers in that ministry. So if you look in each ministry, you will see an item for gratuities, which was not there before.
And based on the fact that public officers have all been complaining to us at constituency levels that they have to wait 3 and 4 years sometimes for the gratuities, some of them die waiting for it and so on, Minister, could you assure us that there will be timely releases to the respective ministries and so on, and what you are doing at the pensions division to ensure that the calculation of gratuities and so on are done in a very efficient manner?
Well, as you should know, being a junior minister in finance at one time, there are a number of steps before gratuity can be paid. You have to get the pension and leave records from each department or ministry that someone has been in. So if a person has moved from ministry to ministry to ministry in their career, until each one of those department reports on their leave records and their pension records, the person cannot get their gratuity. And this is the major cause of the delay. Sometimes a person might be in 6 places and they have the records from 5, but because the other place, the other ministry, was not keeping correct records, the whole process slows down. What the Treasury Division is doing here is trying to speed up the process so that it's no longer a centralized system. It's now decentralized, so hopefully this would add greater efficiency. But the problem of getting the records will still remain. And a lot of people have experienced this. There are even members of parliament from the last government who experienced this. I tried my best to help them, but there are people who've served in different portfolios and different ministries from your government, and they couldn't get their records from the various ministries that they served in. So we continue to try and do this as quickly as we can, and this redistribution of gratuity allocations into each ministry is designed to try and assist to speed up the process. Okay.
So,
Member for Caroni East.
so we can expect a more efficient payment to people who are waiting for their gratuities, Minister?
I think the answer is yes.
All right, okay. Could you explain line item 08, Unimed Group Health Plan? Nothing was put in for 2018, 19, or 20, but you still have it as a line item. Could you explain that? Or what
Page
has happened to
105.
that group health plan? Line item 08.
Yeah, but it's not there.
Yeah, but why is it necessary?
But it wasn't there in 18 or 19.
I see you put it in there. Who is covering what was that used for, the Unimed Health Plan? Has it been dissolved?
What all the government is required to do is to top up the account. Remember, there's a contributory plan, so that both employees and employer contributes. It goes into a fund, and then withdrawals are made from that fund based on claims. So it's only when there's a deficit in the plan that the government is required to put money in.
Okay.
Okay, so if a deficit occurs, I remember doing this about 2 years ago, put about 20 million into the plan to bring it back up into surplus. So if a deficit occurs in 2020, we will top up the plan.
All right, thanks for the answer. The VSEP, not line item 17, the Central Tenders Board.
I answered that already.
No, I just want to ask, are you you're sending off everybody, and you're giving VSEP to everyone, or some will be absorbed in the public service?
I answered that already.
No, I didn't
You were
get the
not
answer.
listening. I told the member for Caroni Central, and he heard me, that we are offering options and alternatives to employees of the Central Tenders Board. They can go and work for the procurement regulator, they can be redeployed into the public service where posts exist, or they can take voluntary separation.
Well, thank
There are
you for
3.
the
I
answer.
told him that. He heard me. I don't know why you didn't hear.
I didn't
Item
get that.
009, other transfers, page 106. Member for Shogunas East.
Honorable Minister, might you be able to give us a little update on line item 32, the GPAN patent?
Where is this?
Page 106. Yeah, that has been going on for quite a while.
Well, that is something we have inherited.
We too.
Okay, so that's the answer.
Yeah, but and any update?
On what?
What is a patent fee?
Yes.
Increasing now, okay. And the other thing is line item 42, sir. I noticed you had an allocation of 20 million. None was used, and you increased it to 25. Could you give us a little sense as to some of the incentives? You may have said something in the budget, if you could remind us.
This is a program that is managed by the Ministry of Agriculture. We simply pay.
Oh, okay.
Okay?
Member for Naparima.
Item 39, Office of Procurement Regulation, there's been an increase of 9.5. And the only question is will this get the Office of Procurement Regulation up to speed? And if so, when will we see it fully operational?
This should signify that we are very serious about implementing the Procurement Act in 2020. This additional funding from 16 to 25 million is intended to allow the Office of the Procurement Regulator to be fully operational in 2020. That's the plan. So you see the VSEP for CTB workers, and you see the increased allocation for the Office of Procurement Regulation.
Member for Caroni East.
The Securities and Exchange Commission, line item 01, Honorable Minister, there's an increase of 9.7 million. Could you give us an appreciation?
What page is it?
From 35 million to 44 million.
I'll have to get details of that for you.
Okay.
I'm not sure why that has gone.
The Heritage and Stabilization Fund operating expenses, that has increased minimally. Could you tell us what that entails, the operating expenses? Is that related to the...
That is the expenses associated with the management of the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, which has increased from 5.6 billion when we came in to $6.256 billion. I think that's US, eh? So I think and that's an increase therefore of 4 billion Trinidad and Tobago dollars over the last 4 years. So I think if we spend just $1 million TT to get an increase of $4 billion in the fund, I think that's value for money.
Yeah, but the trustees that we had, that is why we increased the HSF from 3.5 to 5.6 billion. 2.1 billion increase during our time.
That's the ancient history.
Which was close to $14 million.
That was when you were here,
how much
and we were there.
How much are you paying now, the trustees, or where is that, the trustees for the HSF? Where's the line item for that?
Trustees? What are you talking about? You mean the managers? You mean the fund managers? You mean the fund managers?
Yes, the fund managers.
We'll get the information for you.
Okay.
Member for Naparima.
No, I have one before you leave me. The CARICOM Development Fund has increased from 35 million to 70 million. Could you give us an understanding? CDF.
We were saddled with arrears that you gifted us in 2015, and we are paying down on the arrears to the CARICOM Development Fund, which you refused to pay your obligation.
But you had 70 million allocated for it in 2019, but you only utilized 35 million. Why?
Because it is difficult when you are saddled with $100 million bill by a previous government to be able to find the cash to pay all of it, so we're doing it in installments.
I'm sure we utilized it wisely, don't worry.
You did not pay it. That's one of the bills you left for us.
Well, you leaving billions for us.
No, we're not.
All right,
we will be in government.
One
Members,
more,
can we move on?
We're leaving nothing for you.
Just one more, 28. First Citizens Bank indemnity calls. You had 92 million allocated in 2019. You only used less than 1 million, and you're now allocating 54 million for it. Could you explain?
That is, again, it's not insurance per se, but it's based on the rationalization of the portfolio of CLICO Investment Bank. Yes. Sorry, Caribbean Money Market Brokers. When CLICO collapsed, there were a number of institutions within the CLICO group, such as CLICO Investment Bank and Caribbean Money Market Brokers. FCB was given the responsibility to manage the Caribbean Money Market Brokers portfolio, and we had to give them an indemnity that if there was a claim on the assets, that the government would make good. In 2019, we only had to pay up $900,000, but we've put an appropriate allocation of 54 million based on the risk profile in 2020. It may not be utilized.
Okay, Madam Chair, I crave your indulgence because if you leave me, I mightn't have the opportunity again.
I don't think that's a fair comment.
The private public housing construction, 50 million allocated in 2019. Nothing was used, as you showed there. So was there any, in the housing construction, was there any private sector, public sector partnership constructing houses? Because no payment has been made. Could you give us where we are with that? And 25 million now is being given back again for it.
We have made a provision of $25 million. We decided to press on with this program. What we found in the private sector is a reluctance on the part of private builders to build a HDC house. I wish the member for Tabakit was here, for $850,000. Remember this program? We would give the private sector HDC drawings and HDC specifications for a small 3-bedroom house. They would build it for a particular price, and they would be given a $100,000 grant if they meet the specs and they meet the price. We have not found an appetite in the private sector for building houses in that range because they have become accustomed under the UNC to getting $1.3 million for a house that should really only cost $700,000. But we're going at it again, and as you can see, we're coming up with a program to pay people $500,000 for a basic house, and we think we'll be successful. So we've gone again and put a allocation of $25 million.
So the $50 million was not utilized?
It was not because there was no appetite among the private sector builders to build a house for $750,000 or $850,000.
But if my memory serves me right, there was an opening of a PPP in St. Augustine.
That's different. That's a HDC. This is finance. This was a finance initiative that if private builders build small houses for the government's price of $750,000, they would get $100,000. It would save us from paying $1.3 million for the same house. And they had no appetite to it because they became accustomed under the UNC of getting 100% profit.
But they don't have confidence in you now. That's why they're not investing.
Member for Naparima.
Well, they don't have confidence that we'll give them twice
Member
the
for
price.
Naparima.
That's true. We're not going to give them twice.
Yes, but.
Member for Naparima.
Yes, thank you. Item 17, GATE, Government Assistance for Tuition Expenses Fund. I note that there is no increase from the approximate $435 million. But given the fact that there are a number of issues that students are complaining, students from USC, etc., that institutions are withholding their degrees until the GATE payments are paid or the parents pay. Could the minister just explain why no increase?
GATE is a rolling fund. It's a rolling fund. It's based on applications from the institutions to the Ministry of Education, who then audit the applications, and it's sent to the Minister of Finance for final approval. So it's simply a pass-through.
So the problem is the submission of documents by the institutions and not the unavailability of funding.
Yeah, that would be the problem. Yeah.
Okay.
Member for Carney Central.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up question on that. Is GATE assistance stabilized at 435 now, or it just looks like that on paper?
Well, if you look at the 2018 actual, it's 434.
434, yeah.
So I think you could draw that conclusion. I think you could draw that conclusion. There was a lot of frog hopping under the previous minister, where persons were doing multiple degrees, 5 and 6 degrees at the same time. Under the previous minister, Shogunas East, he was encouraging that.
Not program up, not frog, program up.
Frog hopper.
Chair, I just want to, follow up on 40, 41, and 42, which were all basically incentive programs offered in another budget. And what we see here is that basically these incentives were not taken up. I see the minister is proceeding with them, and I have no problem with that. But as stimulus programs, Minister, I think what this tells us is that they're not working.
We have to keep trying.
Okay.
Always have to try.
I say that in the context of other stimuli offered in the current budget, right?
We have to try.
Yeah.
Member for Couva South, I'm not sure if you were taking a stretch or if you're trying to catch my attention.
I was trying to catch your attention.
Okay, very good. Couva South.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Under transfers to state enterprises, I see under 40, Minister.
No, we haven't reached theirs yet.
Okay.
Member for Shogunas East.
Okay, Madam Chair. What was spoken of by the Minister of Finance is not frog hoppers. These are students, we call them program hoppers. But the question is, Honorable Minister, could you say in this line item 17, if I can get a list of it, out of the $435 million for the GATE program, how many institutions, TLIs, are owed GATE monies?
I suggest you raise that with the Minister of Education when you deal with education.
Okay, okay. Any amount here, can I ask, any amount here is being used to repay? I'm just asking, because I know there appears to be some investment to the University of the West Indies for monies owed for their involvement in the Couva Hospital. Is there anything, ask the Minister of Education too?
No. I had the honor to launch GATE under the Patrick Manning administration.
UTT as well?
A far-sighted
From dollar for
PNM
dollar.
initiative. I allowed you to speak.
That has
Allow
been
me to speak.
That has been
I had the
converted
honor
to
to be the
short-sighted.
Minister of Tertiary Education to launch the Government Assistance for Tuition Program. I'm still talking. I didn't interrupt you. Put your hand down. And we are the ones who came up with that vision to increase the participation in tertiary education. It's a PNM program. And since I had the honor to be the minister in charge of tertiary education to launch, conceptualize, create and launch this program, I can say without any fear of contradiction that the acronym is taken from the words Government Assistance for Tuition Expenses.
Yes.
And therefore, by definition, it can only be for tuition expenses. It cannot be for anything else.
No, but
Member for Shigona,
just, can I?
yes, Member Shigona.
But tuition expenses are also expenses that are owed to TLIs. You know that as a former Minister of Tertiary Education. And I just want to ask the question. This $435 million, is this what is contributing because of its decrease to the slippage in the participation rate from 65% to 60%? I just want to ask whether...
Have you finished?
Yeah.
That is another imaginary statistic that came from your government. You love to throw out numbers. It's like $9 oil. You never had that. You'd never reach 65%. You never reach 65%. That's a figment of your
because you didn't do
imagination.
it.
Fake statistics. Bogus
All
statistics.
right. Let's move on. Member for Caroni East.
Minister,
I tell you,
on the line
Highest
item
level of
11.
investment.
Never.
I never have difficulty in hearing Member for Caroni East. I am having difficulty
Tell them to pay
now.
attention.
Member for Caroni East.
Yes, Minister, on the line item 11, IDF, Infrastructure Development Fund. Would it be possible for you to provide to us a breakdown of the various ministries' utilization of the IDF? Yes,
Madam Chairman, you know, giving information that is in the public domain is tantamount to a sin. In every document here, in every ministry, and in the estimates of development program, there is the IDF allocation to every single ministry.
Well, we were doing
I
it.
refer your attention to the draft estimates of the development program.
I am speaking for the public here now, Minister.
No,
The
no,
public
you're not.
wants to know.
You're trying to
You
fool the
spend
public.
X amount of money.
It's in this document which you have.
Yes, I know we have it, but when we are asking larger questions here. When we go into
What
the-
larger questions? It's
large
in
issue.
this document which you have.
You have spent X amount of money under the IDF. We're just asking you how you spent the money. Which
It's in
ministry
this
spent the
document
money.
which you have.
This
And for the
doesn't-
benefit of the public,
we are
this is
dealing-
online
we are
at the
dealing with
Ministry of
this and this
Finance.
doesn't have it.
Draft estimates of development program, everything is there. And you know it's there. You have a problem with
Item
reading, that's your problem.
011,
You refuse to
transfers
give
to
it. You
state
refuse.
enterprises. I believe Member for Couva South. You now have my attention.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Chair. Minister, you have an increased allocation of $5,012,000 to the Sugar Manufacturing Company Limited. Could you inform us what this will be utilized for?
That entity is in the process of being liquidated, the assets are being disposed of, so that's what that's for. It's for fees and expenses relating to the disposal of assets.
And
Demolition of derelict buildings, things like that.
derelict buildings.
Refurbishment of, this is a company in liquidation.
No, I know.
So there would be bungalows that would be refurbished, there will be other buildings that are abandoned, not used, that have to be demolished. There will be fees paid to consultants, things like that.
Well, the little knowledge I had of Caroni, the Sugar Manufacturing Company Limited did not own any bungalows, Mr. Minister. So I cannot see how this $5 million plus allocation will be used to break down bungalows or refurbish bungalows and so on.
Okay, I'm glad you cannot see, but those are the facts.
Those are the facts.
Refurbishing assets, demolishing things that are not required, paying for fees and expenses in the liquidation of the sugar manufacturing company.
Well, I hope the $5 million allocation will be properly utilized.
I
Member
hope
for
so
Cougar
too.
North.
Me too.
Very much, Madam Chair. Minister, line item 57, Caribbean Airlines Limited. In your 2019 revised estimate, you had an allocation of 43.2 million. And in 2020, you have an allocation of 77.4 million, an increase of 34.2. Can you explain that, please?
What line item is it?
Item 57 on page 106.
Okay. As you may be aware, we have leased additional aircraft for the air bridge in 2019, and we expect to continue to do that in 2020. The government takes responsibility for those costs. We've also taken over some debt servicing liabilities of Caribbean Airlines.
Minister, how many additional aircraft you intend to lease for this
I'll get
increased
that for you,
cost?
but I believe it's 2.
Okay,
I'll get it for you.
thank you.
Don't hold me
Member
to
for
the...
Naparima.
Thanks.
Item 91, Exim Bank Forex Facility. The data here says that the actual was 35 million, which gives us an idea of the demand at that level of the economy and developments in the economy. It was reduced to 10 million in estimates in 2019, and out of that 10 million, only 4 million was allocated. So given the pressing demands by exporters for Forex, could the Minister explain why only $6 million was not provided?
I think you misunderstand the facility.
Okay.
I think you misunderstand.
Yeah, well, explain.
The Forex facility is US dollars.
Yeah, I agree.
The manufacturers pay for that with TT dollars. So that, let's say we convert 20 million US dollars. We in the Ministry of Finance don't need to give the Exim Bank 20 million US dollars, the equivalent in TT. We just need to give them funding for managing that fund. You follow? So this is not, you can't use this number to indicate that this is the amount of Forex that's given to the manufacturing
but it's an
sector.
indication of the level of involvement by the
Not
state.
really, no. Because all we're doing, we have a special window at the central bank, and Exim Bank draws down on those
Right.
US dollars, but it gets TT
Right.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So this is not an indication of the amount, just an indication of the management expenses. All right? But if you want further details, I'll get it for you.
Okay.
Okay, I'll get it for
Okay,
you. If
good.
you want
Member
further
for Kearney Central.
Yes. Madam Chair? All
No,
right,
Central.
Boy, it's you.
Central.
Oh, Central, right.
Okay. All right, I
details.
just,
You can't see.
a couple of,
Where is he see?
a couple of
As
questions here, Madam Chair. 68 Trinidad and Tobago International Financial Center.
Yeah.
This is basically the subvention to that, is that what
Correct.
it is?
Yes.
All right. Then, Invest TT,
89.
I see nothing here. Is that because it is in Ministry of Trade?
Correct.
Okay. No, I just want to make sure.
I don't know what everybody getting on for. You
No,
asking me,
I just want to make sure.
I answered you.
Right, okay, fine, I'm
Everybody
fine.
carried on.
Okay. On 91, no, sorry, 90 before. National Investment Fund Holding Company.
Yeah.
Now, I see the allocation here is 4 million. Is that a direct government allocation for operating the fund?
Yes, yes.
So they do not
The company.
so they don't take money out of the fund? Then?
No,
There is no management expenses on the fund?
no. It's set up so that all of the money that's earned in dividends from the companies like Republic
accrue
Bank
to the
goes
benefit-
into
right.
the account for the benefit of the bondholders. But the company has expenses to manage.
Yeah,
that
well, I
portfolio.
understand that. I just want to
Yes, that's what
clarify
it's for.
that it's government.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right, and then the final one I want to raise here is, now, you have two things here, Madam Chair. You have 91, which says Exim Bank Forex Facility, and you have numbers there. And then you have 95, Exim Bank Business Portal, and you have
I'll get more details for
numbers
you.
there.
The Exim Bank used to be under the Ministry of Trade. It was shifted to the Ministry of Finance about a year ago. I'll get more
Yes.
details for you. So some of the expenses of the Exim Bank that are paid by subvention by government now accrue to finance. So I'll
Okay.
get more details on you on the
All
business
right,
portal.
and when you get the details, I just asked Minister if you could provide these details. How many companies have benefited from the
Sure.
facility?
Yes, yes.
And what is the quantum?
Certainly.
Right, thank you.
Member for Chaguanas East.
Honorable Minister, might you be able to tell us line item 42, currently 1975 limited, 14 million and now 12 million. What are these monies used for?
This company has proven to be very difficult to wind up. Remember, this is the old Caroni.
Yeah.
So a lot of assets, a lot of liabilities, a lot of claims, some of them in court. So that this is the expenses that are incurred in winding up this company. You need accountants, forensic examiners, things like that.
Line item 70, Alutrent operating expenses.
Yes.
We didn't see anything for 2 years and now suddenly appears 1.78.
Well, it's hopeful that going forward, Alutrent will have some activities in
But
2020.
you have no activities right now?
No.
Nothing. And then the other one is 93, the Couva Medical and Multi-Training Facility.
Yes.
If you might tell us again what is intended to be used for?
I'll get information, but we in the Ministry of Finance provide technical assistance, technical support.
Okay, so that comes
So that may be for hiring of auditors or something, but I'll get the information.
Okay, thank you.
Member for Caroni East.
Still line item 57, Caribbean Airlines still. Bearing in mind the government gives this money to Caribbean Airlines, 43 million, 54 million, 77 million. Is this part of their accounting processes when they say they make a profit X? Is this taken into, this gift from the government, is this taken into consideration in their accounting procedures in terms of determination of their real profitability?
You notice I didn't interrupt you.
No?
So please don't interrupt me.
No, but
It is not a gift. You should know that the cost of providing transportation on the air bridge far exceeds the fare of $300. The actual cost is much more than that. So that we are compensating, and governments in the past have done it. This is nothing new. My predecessor did it.
Sure.
You compensate Caribbean Airlines for the loss on the air bridge. So that we think that we need to provide a proper service for Tobagonians, people traveling to and forth. As you may have been aware, in the summer vacation, there was an increased demand. We allowed them to rent a plane, we paid for it and so on. And to answer now your question, when they declare profits, they take account of government support. So if you look at the advertisement that Caribbean Airlines has put out, they give the gross profit, then they deduct government support, and they give the net profit. And I'm happy to say that for the first time in umpteen years, Caribbean Airlines is now profitable even after you take account of any monies coming to them from the
I think an
government.
audit needs to be done into their.
I just want to say that. And I want to congratulate,
They cook up those figures.
I want to congratulate the board and management of Caribbean Airlines for taking that entity where under the UNC it was losing $1.5 billion a year to now making a substantial profit under this PNM administration.
You make up those figures. We need to do an audit into Caribbean Airlines.
Yes, we need to audit the
an audit
2010
into
to
Caribbean
2015 period
They
where
boast-
your government lost
boasting of
$4
a profit
billion.
when we know that there is no
$4
profit.
billion in Caribbean Airlines. Yes, we need to audit that.
Are
I
you
agree.
making up those figures now? We know
No,
that there is
no,
no profit
it's in
Caribbean
all the
Airlines.
documents.
They cook up those figures.
It's in the
Caribbean
parliament.
Airlines cook up
Thank
those
you,
figures.
Madam Chair.
In the parliament.
Be gracious and allow somebody else an
Yeah,
opportunity.
I am
Thank
now.
you so much.
But
Member for Couva North.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Minister, line item 84, Tourism and Industrial Development Company of Trinidad and Tobago Limited. I saw no allocations in 2018, 2019, and in 2020 we have a $200,000 allocation. Can you explain that?
We look into that. TITCO is no longer operating.
Right.
I'll look into that. Maybe it's some residual claim or something that we have to deal with.
All right, great.
Remember, when you look here, if you look at this carefully, you're going to see state enterprises that are not the direct responsibility of the Ministry of Finance. But we have to take care of things like liquidation, winding up expenses, things like that. So I assume it's that, but I'll find out for you.
All right, thank you. And line item 86, Tourism Development.
Actually, I've just got confirmation. It is expenses associated with the liquidation of TITCO.
TITCO, okay. And line item number 86, Tourism Development Company Limited. I'm seeing an increase for 2020 by 7.97 million. Can you explain that increase, please?
Because we intend to grow tourism in 2020.
Okay, I'm sure you do, yes. Exactly where are those monies intended to be spent?
I think you could
In
ask
what
the minister.
aspect?
You can ask the Minister of Tourism when tourism is being.
All right,
examined.
will do. Thank you very much.
Member for Couva South.
My colleague just raised
And actually, that's today. Tourism is being examined today. Okay? So it's not long from now.
Thanks for telling me what I already know.
Well, I'm glad, because I only just discovered that.
Okay, so we go on to subhead. Yes? Carrington.
Minister, on 68 TTIFC, has TTIFC, has this institution, did they bring in any investment for the last financial year?
No, I wouldn't say so. What
Okay.
you would have had the issue of TTIFC during your administration, and they have been looking at shared services. I think probably I should backtrack and say that's not a fair comment, because there's been a significant expansion in shared services among banks, for example. Scotiabank has a facility in Chaguanas.
That was happening since
I know, but I'm
2014,
just saying
yeah.
that it started and
It's
it's expanded considerably, so that what IFC is focusing now of fintech and shared services and that sort of thing. So it's not fair to say they haven't brought it in, but they're continuing to work in the financial sector to bring new technology to Trinidad, cashless payments, e-payments, that sort of thing. Okay?
Subhead 06, current transfers to statutory bodies, statutory boards, and similar bodies. New book. Page 135. Honorable members, we will now move on to the draft estimates of the revenue and expenditure of statutory boards and similar bodies and of the Tobago House of Assembly. 07, National Lotteries Control Board. Subhead 01, Personal Expenditure, item 001, General Administration. Page 135. Subhead 02, Goods and Services, item 001, General Administration. Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases. Item 001, general administration, page 136. Subhead 04, current transfers and subsidies. Item 007, households. Subhead, item 009, other transfers. Honorable members, we will now return to consider the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. Subhead 07, debt servicing, page 108. That was the book we were on before. Item 001, interest, local loans, page 108.
Okay.
Member for Caroni East.
On the Torah Services, Minister of Finance, could you tell us how much we still owe Torah Services? We have been paying 37 million, 29 million, 21 million, estimate now. So that's 37 and 29 is 57, 66 and 21.
You want to know how much we
Yeah,
owe
how much we
Taurus?
still owe and how much we have paid so far to Torah Services.
I'll get that for you. I'll get that for you.
And the same for TIDCO.
TIDCO. Okay, again, we're servicing a loan for TIDCO. What do you want to know? What remains in the loan? The balance?
Yes, how much we have paid and how much we have
All right.
balance.
I'm not sure. That might be the road paving from 2000. Might be. I feel so. I think it's that. I know it's that.
Item 009, interest on overdraft.
And I just wanted to ask on E-Tech as well, Madam, just that crave your indulgence on 22, evolving technologies.
That's page 109.
Yeah.
What you want to know?
What is that being used for now, that 16 million and 14 million?
No, these are what the Ministry of Finance does. When we allow state enterprises to borrow, we provide them with the debt servicing. So that it would have been a loan taken out by E-Tech years ago. And if you want to know what it's for and how much money is available, how money is still remaining to be paid, we can get that for you.
Yeah, we really appreciate that.
Probably for the upgrade of the Magdalena.
Okay, so member for Caroni East has taken us to item 011, principal repayment, local loans.
Yeah.
So that's where we are. Item 011, principal repayment, local loans. Member for Caroni Central, do you have a question under this?
Yes, it's a general question of the minister. Whether on the issue of debt, there has been any increase in the percentage of debt servicing on the basis of revenue within the last fiscal year.
Give me a second. I have that, actually have that information right here. So you want to know what percentage?
Just the increase, because I knew for the year before.
Not sure it is an increase.
Yeah.
That's why I'm checking. I remember that it was going down. It has gone up a little bit in terms of. No, actually, it's gone down. It's gone down significantly.
I don't know how that's.
It's in the review of the economy, but it's gone down significantly.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question, Minister, because
In
I found that
2018,
kind of strange.
in 2018, the total debt service was 8.9 billion, and in 2019, the total debt service was 7.2 billion, and revenue went up. So revenue increased from 18 to 19, and debt servicing went down. So the percentage of revenue that debt servicing went down. But I'll get the actual number for you if you want.
Thank you.
Actually, we have it here. It was 20, 0.7% in 2018, and it dropped to 15.6% in 2019. So debt servicing dropped from 20.7% of revenue to 15.6% of revenue in 2019. Performance P&M style.
Well,
but it's a fact, it's gone down 5%.
Well, I won't argue with you because I cannot.
It's in the review of the economy.
Right. That's why I'm asking the question. I saw that in the review of the economy, and I just wanted you to confirm that
The
that
figures
is
in the
fact
review,
true,
I can
because
assure
I find
you,
it.
I can assure you
I'll
that
have
the
to
public
do my own
servants who do the
checking,
review are very careful with their numbers.
All right.
Okay, and very accurate and honest.
Well, I have no doubt. I will say
No,
nothing
they are.
about
It's the same people.
About the technical
It's the same
people. I give them always the
We don't
benefit
fudge the
of
figures.
Member for Caroni East.
Yeah. Madam Chair, I'm a little puzzled with line item 18, Minister of Finance, which looks at restructuring of First Citizens Bank Limited. If this is an enterprise that is making profitability and declaring profitability, why should the state be burdened with having to pay a debt for First Citizens Bank? Could you explain that? Of $22 million every year. So we have paid from 18-19, we have paid 44 million so far, and we estimate to pay another 22. Why should the state be supporting an institution which claims to be making a profit?
Okay. You've been around long enough.
Yeah.
So you know that First Citizens is an amalgamation of the National Commercial Bank of Trinidad and Tobago, the Workers' Bank, and the Penny Bank.
And the
Penny Bank.
Yes, okay.
3 banks that came together because the banks were on the verge of collapse. So in 1993,
well, I know that I lost millions
I did not
with Workers'
interrupt
Bank.
you when you were
Go
speaking.
ahead. Millions, yeah.
In 1993,
I had plenty shares with them.
The
Go
government of Trinidad and Tobago created First Citizens out of the ashes of these 3 failed institutions and had to put in equity and working capital and take over the liabilities of the failed institutions. So there was a $350 million facility at that point in time, which is still in existence, which FCB is not responsible for, because when we created the bank, we gave them a clean balance sheet. So the government took responsibility for the bad debts and so on in those institutions. Okay, so that's what that is for.
Thank you for the clarity on that, Minister. I appreciate it.
Right.
And can I just ask you on the Caribbean Airlines as well? Is this repayment part of the Mr. Manning's administration, $2.2 billion restructuring of BWIA?
I don't think so.
In 2008?
I don't think so. I think this is when you mortgage the aircraft to subsidize the billion-dollar losses in the 2010 to 2015 period. The aircraft were bought free of debt in around 2011, 2012, and then with cash, and then the UNC mortgaged the aircraft and borrowed money against the aircraft. This is what this is all about. This is a testimony to your poor management.
Where is the payment of the $2.2 billion that former Prime Minister Mr. Manning, and when you were part of the government, where is that located?
Which line item is that?
Caribbean Airlines.
No, but where is it? Show
23.
me. Show me the line item.
It's a follow-up question to that.
But where is the line item?
23.
That's not it.
What?
This is for when you mortgage the planes.
But how? But I'm asking you, Caribbean Airlines existing now, which is the now restructured company from BWIA, a debt was incurred during Mr. Manning's administration, which you were part of and the Prime Minister were part of. Where is that in terms of the Caribbean Airline repayment?
No debt was incurred.
No debt was incurred. So you took $2.2 billion from the recurrent expenditure to service BWIA.
Which line item are you speaking about?
You know what I'm talking about.
In 2020,
You're just trying
which
to
line
be
item are you
evasive.
talking about?
Honorable members.
You're
to try
talking
to-
We
about
will
something
now
happened
move on to
15
the
years
draft
ago?
estimates of development program. Minister of Finance, we have moved on, please. Draft estimates of the development program, subhead 09, consolidated fund, page 47. Item 003, economic infrastructure, member for Caroni Central.
Yeah. Ma'am, I was going to just ask the minister to clarify what overdraft means in this, if it refers.
No, I think we are on the development program.
Is it
Item
the central bank
003,
overdraft
economic
alone?
infrastructure, page 47. Item
page
005, multi-sectoral and other services. Members will note this spans 2 pages, and therefore I will announce the project groups. A, administrative services. F, public buildings. L, customs and excise. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $6,296,855,648 for head 18, Ministry of Finance, stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $6,296,885,648 for head 18, Ministry of Finance, now stands part of the schedule. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, PS, and your team. We go on to head 20, pensions and gratuity. We are at page 123 of the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. Head 20, pensions and gratuities, $50 million. I will now invite the Minister of Finance to make a brief opening statement for a maximum of 5 minutes. Minister of Finance.
Sure. Just give me the head number again.
Head 20.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The Ministry of Finance, as I indicated previously, has a number of areas of responsibility and activity. One of them is the Treasury Division, which is responsible for the payment of all pensions of public officers, gratuities of public officers, teachers' pensions, naval and military pensions, retiring allowances for MPs, president's pension, etc. And this particular head is simply an account of the allocations for the payment of these items, payment, pensions, and gratuities, across the board, throughout the public service.
Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $50 million for head 20, pensions and gratuities, stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $50 million for head 20, pensions and gratuities, is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. Subhead 04, current transfers and subsidies. Item 007, households. Member for Naparima.
Minister, I'm asking.
Sure.
This 04 allocation of 3.2 million, the estimates for 2020, does it include the pensions in relation to the promised indexation of pensions, one, and two, the increased benefits given to daily paid workers?
The allocation at this time does not provide for that. We had indicated that this will be done in fiscal 2020. So what you're going to see in the mid-year is the finalized figures. Okay.
Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $50 million for head 20, pensions and gratuities, stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $50 million for head 20, pensions and gratuities, now stand part of the schedule. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. Great.
Director of Pensions.
Controller of accounts.
Control of accounts. Sorry,
you
control of
have to
accounts.
go by her for your pension.
I'm sorry.
Controller of
Thank you
accounts.
so much.
That is the controller of accounts.
Minister of Finance and all the technocrats from the Ministry of Finance and the other divisions. Head 35, Ministry of Tourism. Head 35, Ministry of Tourism, $97,208,469. I will now invite the Minister of Tourism to make a brief opening statement, not exceeding 5 minutes. Minister of Tourism.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, the Ministry of Tourism is mandated to provide leadership and strategic direction for the sector, formulate policy to guide tourism development, collaborate with all stakeholders on matters related to tourism, and to facilitate and monitor the offer and access to tourism incentives in accordance with the Tourism Development Act. The Ministry continues to be responsible for the management, maintenance, and upgrade of 5 sites and attractions, namely the Maracas Beach Facility, Vecini Beach Facility, Las Cuevas Beach Facility, and the Labre Pitch Lake Visitors Center. And over the next fiscal year, the Ministry will complete handover of management and operations of the cruise and airport tourism offices. As you are aware, public sector management for the tourism sector has transitioned away from the old TDC model into the creation of 2 destination marketing and management entities, one for Trinidad and one for Tobago, in recognition of each island's unique selling proposition. Tourism Trinidad, which falls under the Ministry of Tourism, and the Tobago Tourism Agency managed by the THA are now operationalized and have begun to add value in the turnaround of the tourism sectors on each island, with improvements seen in several performance indicators. Over the next year, both entities will continue to work towards increasing visitor arrivals and tourism's overall contribution to GDP, improving Trinidad's and Tobago's tourism product offerings, thereby enhancing visitor experience, and building compelling and internationally recognized destination brands in the new global landscape. I thank you, Mr. Deputy Chair.
Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $97,208,469 for Head 35, Ministry of Tourism, stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $97,208,469 for Head 35, Ministry of Tourism, is comprised of monies proposed for the expenditure under the following subheads and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure and the draft estimates of the development program. We will now proceed to consider the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. Subhead 01, Personal Expenditure, page 234, and we're in the recurrent expenditure booklet. I recognize the member for Couva North.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Minister, line number 8, vacant post salaries cooler without incumbents. I'm seeing no allocations for 2019 revised estimate and an allocation of $350,000 for 2020. Can you explain that?
No allocations in the revised estimates because no positions were filled by the service commissions.
Right.
So in 2020, over the fiscal, we expect it's likely that the research assistant 2 position will be filled. So the provision is there.
All right. And line item 14, remuneration to members of cabinet appointed committees. I'm seeing a sharp increase by $233,000. Can you tell me about this committee or committees?
All
that
right,
would account for such increases?
Yeah, so there are two cabinet-appointed committees that began work in the last fiscal, whose work will continue over the next fiscal. The way these cabinet committees are remunerated, they're only remunerated at the end of the committee's work. So there are two committees, the National Tourism Policy Committee and the Tourism Investment Advisory Committee.
Okay, and how many persons on these committees, if you have the info at this time?
On the Tourism Investment Advisory Committee, there are 9 persons on that committee. And on the National Tourism Policy Committee, there are 14 persons on that committee.
And what is the expected duration of these two committees? How long?
We expect the work of the National Tourism Policy Committee to be completed before year's end, and the Tourism Investment Advisory Committee, we expect the work to be completed by the second quarter of this fiscal.
Okay, thank you.
Member for Naprimo.
Thank you. Item 60, contract employment. There's a sharp $5 million increase in the estimates of 2020.
So we're skipping ahead, eh?
Skipping?
No. Member, no. We haven't read there yet. Member for Mayaro, you okay? Item 001, General Administration, page 234. Member for Couva, note.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Minister, line item 05, telephones. I'm seeing a sharp increase for 2020 by 360,000. Can you explain that? Okay.
I'm sorry, what?
05, line item under goods and services, telephones.
Telephone, page 234, Minister. 05, telephones.
Okay, so the estimate in 2019 was $1 million. It was revised downwards to 439,300. And in 2020, there's an estimate of $800,000.
An increase
it's actually,
by 360.
Sorry?
Yeah, an increase by 360,000.
Right, but there's actually a decrease from the 2019 estimates. And that is because we have been very economical in our use of cell phones and telephones at ministries across the board.
Okay. I guess I got a new minister.
Thank you, members. Subhead 02, Goods and Services, page 234. Item 001, General Administration. Member for Couvas, note.
Thank you, Minister. Line item 10, office stationery and supplies. A sharp increase by 625,000. Can you explain that?
Well, the increase is to make provision for increased office supplies, for promotions at the cruise and airport offices, for the cruise season, etc.
All right, line item 12, material and supplies, another sharp increase by 289,000.
Yeah, so under this vote, over the next fiscal, we intend to purchase 2 items of software, project management software, as well as statistical software, analysis software.
All right, and line item 16, contract employment, a sharp increase by 4.9 million. Can you tell me how many contract employees you intend to bring on board for fiscal 2020?
So there are 37 contract positions on the structure presently. 25 positions have expired, and there are 12 contracts still existing. The restructuring note is presently before PMCD. We expect over the next fiscal to have those positions renewed, those expired positions renewed. So this increase is to take account of that.
Okay. Line item 27, official overseas travel, another sharp increase by 657,000 for 2020. Can you account for that?
This is for persons in the ministry, the officers of the ministry, to attend CTO meetings as well as trade shows, etc., overseas, and to assist the TTL and the Tobago agency in their marketing activities.
Okay.
So we expect to increase our attendance at these trade shows now that the TTL and Tobago, they are operationalized.
Line item number 37, janitorial services. I'm seeing another sharp increase by 1.3 million. Can you account for this?
1 second.
Minister?
This is to cater for any increase in the janitorial contracts that may occur over the next year. At present, the ministry is responsible for not just the head office, but also the cruise office, the airport office, as well as the 5 sites and attractions.
Okay. And line item 43, security services, another sharp increase by 971,000.
Also to cater for any increased costs. Similarly, that may occur over the next fiscal.
Okay, line item 62, promotions, publicity, and printing. I'm seeing an increase by 12.4 million, Minister. Can you account for this?
Yeah, well, this is the increase over the revised estimates. If you look at the 2019 estimates, 14 million was estimated. Now, under this vote item, the usual expenditure is catered for, advertising, etc. But specifically in the Ministry of Tourism, this vote is also used for the marketing of the destination. So it's actually shared with Tourism Trinidad. So Tourism Trinidad, they have a number of activities that they want to launch and activate over the next fiscal, and this amount will cater for that.
Okay, would you be so kind to provide a list of these strategies that you intend to implement for this 12 million?
As well as sponsorship as well, I'm sorry. Yes, I can provide that in writing.
Some sort of info, right. Thank you very much.
Member, you okay? Member for Urupuch West.
Yeah.
And then I'll go to Couva North, Couva South.
Just to follow up with Couva North's question, Honorable Minister, under line item 62, promotions, publicity, and printing, we had the estimate of 14 million, but if the trust is to promote tourism, why is it that only 1.5 was used?
No, 1.5 wasn't used. Approximately 5 million was expended, but 1.5 is under the revised estimates.
Yes, but it means that you had money that you
No, it doesn't mean.
No,
it doesn't mean that 1.5 million was used. It just means that at a particular time during the preparation for the budgets, they would look at the amount of money that was actually used. That time may have been August, and they would put revised estimates. It's just an estimate of how much would have been used.
No, because the revised, you brought up the revised to over 12 million. So you kind of correlated with the 2019 estimate for the 14 million. So my question is, it's really only 1.5 million when you have money there to promote tourism.
No,
so
I can confirm to you that $5 million was expended under this vote.
Okay, but it doesn't reflect here.
Okay.
I know, but I'm confirming that to you now.
All right. Members, Couva South.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Mr. Minister, under contract employment.
Line number, please.
16. You have this increased allocation of $4,909,544. And if I could recollect just a couple moments ago, you used a very nice term that there was 37 existing contract officers and 25 of these contracts expired. I like how you use that term. And 12 was still existing. And is it that these 25 that expired, are you going to rehire them? And how are you going to rehire them? Via public advertisements, inviting applications from nationals, or it will be handled very quietly?
Mr. Minister.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Deputy Chair. Mr. Deputy Chair, I am a part of a very transparent government, and we do everything with transparency in mind. These positions will be advertised when they are renewed. With respect to the 25, no, just now, let me answer.
Okay.
With respect to the 25 positions.
You'll come back to you, member. Go ahead.
With respect to the 25 positions that have expired, what usually happens is that they transition to short-term employment until the positions are renewed by cabinet.
Supplemental, Kuva South?
Trying to follow the minister when he said that these positions will be advertised when they are renewed. So I just...
No, I think he was clear there.
The positions will be advertised. Once they're renewed, the positions will be advertised and the usual recruitment process will be
What is the
undertaken.
usual recruitment process?
All right, members, hold on 1 second. I think we're getting into the semantics now. All right? It will be advertised, as he said.
Advertised where?
In the newspapers.
Minister, you just want to give a little briefly in terms of where it will be advertised?
In the newspapers.
All right. Member for Naparima.
The daily newspapers.
Naparima,
Yes.
member.
Item 62, promotions, publicity and printing. 14 million allocated, and you said last year the figure spent was 5 million.
Yeah.
5 million out of the 40. And the question is, I'm asking is, when will citizens see one ad on TV anywhere in the world advertising Trinidad and Tobago, as we see with Barbados, St. Lucia, etc.? And if this strategy is direct marketing to the business groups and whatnot, could you give us an indication of what is the outreach to those business groups to come to Trinidad?
Minister.
Presently, the TTL has developed a one-year strategic plan, and in the strategic plan, all those matters that you're speaking about are outlined. With respect to television ads, I mean, that is a particular strategy of other jurisdictions. In our jurisdiction in Trinidad, perhaps digital marketing would be more, not only more economical, but maybe better reaching the target market.
Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases, page 236. Item 001, general administration, page 236. Subhead 04, current transfers and subsidies, page 236. Item 001, regional bodies, page 236. Item 003, United Nations organizations, page 236. Item 007, households, page 237. Item 011, transfers to state enterprises, page 237, and I recognize Kuva North.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Minister 04, Tourism Trinidad Destination Management Company Limited. I'm seeing an increase for the 2020 estimates by 2.3 million. Please, can you tell me the purpose for the increase?
Minister.
So the TTL just completed another recruitment exercise where 19 persons were recruited. So these additional funds will take care of that personal expenditure, salaries of the additional persons recruited.
Can you give us a sense of how many projects they've completed in the last fiscal year and what are the nature of these projects?
I can give you that in writing.
All right, one other question. You have the 2019 revised estimate at 7.9 million. Is this the actual amount that was utilized? Because I know previously, in a previous vote, you were saying that it was more than the actual vote, more than the revised estimate, which was...
7.968, yes.
7.9,
68,
all
yes.
utilized?
Yes.
Okay.
Moving on. Honorable members, we will now move on to the draft estimates of the development program, new book, development program, subhead 09, development program, consolidated fund, page 84. Page 84, members. Item, pardon?
Yeah, yes. Yes.
Yeah, there's a replacement page, page 84.
Yes, there is a replacement page. Thanks for that information. A replacement page. And we are on page 84. Consolidated Fund, item 003, Economic Infrastructure, and it's pages 84 and 85, and there's a replacement page. Member for Couva North.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair. Minister, line item 019, Tourism Sites and Attractions Upgrade. In 2019, estimate was 8 million. The revised estimate in 2019, you actually utilized 3.4, if that figure is correct. And the 2020 estimate is 13 million. Can you tell me which sites and attractions you intend to upgrade for 2020 and what were actually done in 2019 for the revised estimate at 3.4 million?
Yes, so a lot of the works are ongoing. Over the last fiscal, we commenced upgrading works to Manzanilla, Vesini, the restaurants were upgraded. The concessionaire area at Labre, we installed CCTV, security lights at Vesini, Manzanilla, and Labre. And outstanding payments were also paid. So it's really a continuation. The projects that we expect to execute in fiscal 2020, the completion of the works at the Manzanilla Beach Facility, completion of the works at Vesini Beach Facility, at Labre as well. We intend to commence works at the Galera Point Lighthouse in Toko. We intend very proudly to construct a lookout at Paramin and to complete some more corrective works at the Maracas Beach facility. Oh, and Las Cuevas, we intend to install some underground waste and water storage.
Okay. Line item 28, Establishment of Trinidad and Tobago Tourism Regulatory and Licensing Authority. I see no allocations for 2020. Is it that that authority has been established?
No, the authority has not been established. The authority has to be established through an act of parliament.
Mm-hmm.
You would see expenditure in 2018, actual expenditure of $160,000. That was used to procure the draft bill and the draft policy. We've also recognized that in order to implement compulsory regulations for the tourism sector, a regulatory impact assessment has to be done. And over the next fiscal, plans for proceeding with this project will be undertaken. That's why you see no expenditure.
Okay, line item 029, consultancy for the development of a strategic tourism incentive plan. The 2019 estimate was 500,000, and I'm seeing 2020 estimate at the same figure. You care to explain?
So
at what stage are you at?
Yeah, so $29,217 was actually expended.
How much?
$29,217.
Right.
Now, although the line item refers to a consultancy, previously you would have asked a question about cabinet-appointed committees.
Mm-hmm.
So the ministry took a decision that we really have the competency in-house. So we appointed this is the review of this strategic tourism incentive plan is being done by a cabinet-appointed committee. So, and we expect the committee to be completed with its work by the second quarter. The main expenditure items would be the cost to hold consultations, travel, airfare, etc.
How many persons on that committee, Minister?
I just gave it to you.
Earlier, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on. Line
provided.
item 030, development of a national tourism policy 2018, 1.8 million. At what stage are you at this national tourism policy?
Right, so we're at a very advanced stage as well. A cabinet-appointed committee is charged with completing the revision of the national tourism policy, and before year's end, we should have the completion of that revision and the completion of the report by the committee.
The revised estimate of 345,000 was expended on what exactly for this national tourism policy?
Similarly, hosting of consultations, travel to Tobago, travel to all over the country, those types of expenses.
So that what the 1.8 million estimated for 2020
So
would be for?
yeah, so once we're completed with the revision of the tourism policy, the next step is to review and complete the master plan. And the additional funds would be utilized in the completion of the tourism master plan.
So all of your consultations are over?
I believe there's one more or two more consultations for the completion of the review of the policy.
Where are you going to be having those consultations?
Tobago.
Okay.
Member for Kumutu Manzelina.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Minister, in a response to a question that was posed by a member for Couva North.
Give me the line item also, please.
I believe it is 028, where you indicated that 29,217 was expended. Is that a line item?
No, that's
29,000?
029.
29, okay, 29, and therefore, so it's 29 I'm asking on. You said that what you recognize is that you already have the competency in-house. So you're not going outside, you're utilizing in-house persons for...
Yeah, we're not doing a tender to acquire a consultant.
Can
So
you
it's being done
advise-
by a cabinet-appointed committee.
Can you advise who are the persons who make up this team?
I'll do that
Information.
again.
And also,
No, one sec.
sorry.
You're asking for what? The names of the individuals or how many persons?
No, she asked for the numbers, I'm asking for the names.
You want the names?
Yeah.
Could we provide it?
I'd provide it in writing.
Would
I have
you
it here, but I'll provide it in writing.
You prefer to provide it in writing?
I do.
And, okay, and also, because I would like to know the relevant competencies that each person really comes with.
I can provide that now.
You can provide it now?
Yes.
Minister.
So the first person has tourism, hospitality, consultancy, and education. Yes, specialization in those areas. Second person, policy, planning, and research, tourism, health, education, and protocol and international relations. Third person, a physical planner, public sector management, and policy advisor. Fourth, tourism management, policy development, consultancy, and education. The fifth person, arts, cultural, education, tourism, and management. The sixth person, digital marketing, business management, communication, and advertising. 7, sports management and promotion. 8, hospitality, tourism, and consultancy. 9, economic tourism, consultancy, education. 10, hospitality, tourism, and consultancy. 11, research and education. 12, architecture and education. And 13 and 14, tourism and hospitality.
And what is there a stipend that these persons will be collecting?
Yes, there is a stipend. For the chairman, it's $1,400 a month. $1,400 a month. Deputy chairman, $900 a month. And for the, yeah, and for other members, it's $800 per month.
Kuvanot.
Okay.
What?
You go ahead.
Kuvanot.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, line item 056, IT infrastructure upgrade. Your 2019 estimate was 460,000. You only utilized 47,500 in the revised estimate. And for 2020, you have 427,000. Can you tell me what this entails?
Minister.
This project is actually completed.
Oh, it's completed.
Yes,
okay.
it's completed. And the money, the provision made here is for the payment of the works. The ministry upgraded its IT infrastructure to mitigate against downtime in the event of disaster, hardware failure, virus intrusion, and other risks faced by cyber attacks.
Okay. Line item 057, the operationalization of Trinidad Tourism Limited. 2019 estimate was 10 million. You only utilized 1.7 in the revised, and you have an estimate of 2.4. Exactly what is this going to be used for?
So the 2.4 is, the provision there is made to discharge some outstanding bills that we have at the ministry. This operationalization of TTL was for the costs related to operationalization, like purchasing office equipment, IT equipment, software, recruitment, etc., vehicle, etc. So that is what it's going to be used for the payment of outstanding bills.
Okay, line item 058, Maracas Beach Facility Management Project. You have an estimate for 2020 at 2.5 million. Exactly at what stage are you at with this project? And what is this 2.5 million going to be used for?
Okay, so this project, what month? This project, we awarded the facilities management contract to UDICOT for the maintenance of the Maracas Beach facility. The additional costs will take into consideration the increased costs of security and the engagement of our wastewater treatment operator. So what UDICOT does, they do mechanical, electrical, and plumbing maintenance, general infrastructure maintenance, oversight of grounds maintenance, oversight of the vendors, oversight of car park and washroom operation, security services, fire suppression systems, landscaping, garbage removal, pest control, etc. So they manage the facility. That is Maracas.
Okay. Line item 059, Minister, Development of a Tourism Addition and Awareness Program for Destination Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm seeing that allocation of 417,000, but only 123,000.4 were utilized in 2019. Exactly what are you going to utilize this 400,000 and where?
So
in your awareness program?
Yeah, so this project is well advanced. It's called Time Tourism in Me. And it's an awareness and education project where we create a series of animated videos to educate the population. And it's really aimed at, let's say, the average 12-year-old, where we educate the population on the benefits of tourism as well as the tourism sector, etc.
On which stations? Or are they aired
So
on
it's
all
animated
stations?
videos, so it's it will be pushed digitally.
Okay. Line item 060, Development of a Theatre District. I saw we're seeing here 2019 estimate 500,000. Nothing was utilized in the revised estimate of 2019, and now you have an allocation of 400,000 in 2020. How far are you along with this particular project?
So the conceptual framework and the project proposal, they're both complete. The project will now be handed over to the Tourism Trinidad Limited for completion, and we expect that it will be completed over the next fiscal.
Where is this theatre district?
Minister.
No, it's really an online marketing tool that would market the creative sector, but in particular the performing arts. So all the theatre productions that you see in all our very, I would say, high-grade theatre facilities across the island, this website will be used to market all the productions that will be going on there.
Okay, and you have 3 new projects, 61 to 63 new projects introduced. We'll go line by line. 61, Tourism Trinidad Limited, 11.7 million.
Minister.
Clarify a little bit.
So this new line item, these funds will really be expended on the core function of Tourism Trinidad Limited. that is the marketing, advertising, branding, website development, attending trade shows, sponsorship of various local tourism events in Trinidad by the TTL. So this is really to fund the engine room of what the TTL is to become.
Okay.
And I presume you want the same thing for 62 and 63.
And 63,
So, Minister,
yes.
62 and 63, you can give an update one time.
Yeah.
So 62, if you're aware, this is to fund the rebates that we offer through the TORP program, Tourism Accommodation and Upgrade Program. This will now be under the TTL. Prior to being with the ministry, it was with the TDC. So what they do is they encourage accommodation players in the tourism sector.
Exactly how many hotel and guest houses have benefited from this incentive project?
Got the statistics?
I will have to give you that in writing.
Okay, provide in writing.
And line item 63, Tourism Stakeholder Enterprise Program for 413,000. Explain that, please.
This will now be under the TTL, and this program is one that will assist the small tourism operators. It's really an education and tourism development program to encourage them to develop a service quality, a service culture, develop and customize programs to facilitate attitude and behavioral change, and develop plans for monitoring and evaluation in the tourism sector.
Moving on. Kumuto Manzelina member.
My colleague asked all the relevant questions. Thank you.
Item 005, multi-sectoral and other services, pages 85 and 86. Infrastructure Development Fund, page 195. Item 004, social infrastructure, page 195. And I recognize member for Hoover North.
Thank you very much, Chair. Minister, I'm seeing an allocation for recreation and culture for 6.5 million. Please explain on that.
Minister.
Location, cost.
1 second.
Well, actually, I'm seeing it for the Maracas Beach Facility Improvement Project, 6.5 million.
Yeah, so that's for the phase 2 to the Maracas Beach.
How many phases to
facility.
this project, Minister?
This is the second phase.
And that's it?
We hope.
So 6.5 million will entail what kind of works?
All right, so types of works that it will,
What kind?
the upgrade of the detention pump and pond, it's to supply generators, backup generators, to supply solar lighting, to supply
LED
general landscaping, and also to provide an expansion of the car park.
Minister, the vendors on Maracas Beach had some issues. Have that been sorted out?
No, and well, what issues are you talking about?
The location of where they are now at.
Right.
In terms
So
of
this
selling.
this phase 2 will also treat with that.
How?
So if
How
you,
so?
Right. So if you visited Maracas
I have.
recently,
Quite
I'm sure you
recently,
have.
I have.
You look like you visit Maracas often.
A lot, yes.
Yeah. So you visit, you would see that there is no provision was not made under the first phase for a seating area for persons who purchase their bacon shack, etc. So, and you see that they've placed some tents there that to observers across the island, it seems a bit unsightly. What we propose to do is to standardize and to build some proper seating areas for these vendors, so that issue would be taken care of.
Okay, and how soon would that?
Over the next fiscal.
Okay. All right.
Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $97,208,469 for Head 35, Ministry of Tourism, stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $97,208,469 for Head 35, Ministry of Tourism, now stand part of the schedule. Thank you, Mr. P.S., and thank you to your senior executives from the Ministry of Tourism. Thanks for coming. We have 10 minutes. Members, we'll now go to Head 37, Integrity Commission. Mr. Minister, we only started at 10. Head 37, Integrity Commission. Let's make sure you have your brief introduction, please. You alone, Madam PS? Oh no, not PS at Integrity, Registrar. Registrar.
What head is it, by the way?
So welcome, Registrar of the Integrity Commission, and to the senior executives of the Integrity Commission. Welcome. Head 37, Integrity Commission. Head 37, Integrity Commission, $12,353,960. I will now invite the Minister of Finance to make a brief opening statement, not exceeding 5 minutes. Mr. Minister.
The Integrity Commission was established by Act of Parliament, Integrity in Public Life Act, Chapter 2201, for the purpose of regulating the conduct of persons exercising public functions, to preserve and promote the integrity of public officials and institutions. It is the premier institution for the promotion and preservation of integrity in all affairs, to make Trinidad and Tobago a corruption-free society.
Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $12,353,960, let's go for that. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $12,353,960 for Head 37, Integrity Commission, stand part of the schedule. Honorable members, the sum of $12,353,960 for Head 37, the Integrity Commission, is comprised of monies proposed for expenditure under the following subheads, and items to be found in the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure and the draft estimates of the development program. We now proceed to consider the draft estimates of recurrent expenditure. Subhead 01, Personal Expenditure, page 239, item 001, General Administration, page 239. Subhead 02, Goods and Services, page 239, item 001, General Administration, pages 239 to 240. Subhead 03, Minor Equipment Purchases, page 241.
No, you moved a little too fast there.
No, hold on, member. Which, this particular item?
240, page 240 on 001.
Right, really, I'm not going into that one.
You haven't reached there yet?
Subhead 02, Goods and Services, page 239, item 001, General Administration, pages 239 and page 240. Proceed, Carney.
Yeah, 240, the contract employment and short-term employment.
Line item?
Line item 16 and 22.
Question?
In 2019, approximately 4.8 million was allocated for contract employment. Only 700,000 was spent. And then short-term employment, 1.9 was allocated, and 2.2 was spent. Could you give an explanation of the what happened to the contract employment I see it has come back to 2.877. If the minister can explain what happened there.
Mr. Minister?
Nobody.
There would have been an intention on the part of the Commission to employ people in fiscal 2019, but it required the requisite approvals. The matter is under consideration at this point in time, so we have put a provision into 2020 and in anticipation that they would be able to hire more staff on contract because they have more responsibilities now.
Sure.
There are more boards and so on that they have to deal with.
So they will have to get the approval from whom? The Ministry
Well,
of Finance?
all contract positions have to be approved by Cabinet, as you know.
Cabinet.
It's a process.
All right. But you're starving an institution that you require, but why are you taking so long to do these things for them?
That's
took
a
whole year
false statement.
Huh?
That's a false statement.
No. If you took a year to give them the approval, and you come in this year to give them the approval.
You have no data to back up that statement.
Well, based on what you just said.
I never said anything like what you
Okay,
said.
members, okay. Urupuch West? Urupuch
Yeah,
West,
thank
Minister of
you.
Finance,
Thank
Karen
you,
East, please. Urupuch
Mr.
West.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Chair.
Excuse, member, let's fix your mic, please.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Line number 23, fees, Honourable Minister, from 25,000 to now 270,000. You could give me an explanation for this increase?
23, that's what she said. Line item 23, fees, Minister of Finance.
What's the issue? What was the question?
Line item 23, fees. And your question again, member?
Explanation from 25,000 to 270 now, an increase of 244,000.
Clarification on the fees. Why the increase?
The Integrity Commission from time to time would need expert legal advice on how to deal with an errant declarant, among other matters. And that's what that is for.
And line item number 66, hosting of conferences, seminars, and other functions. We moved from 38,000 to 466,000.
Yeah, well, in any given year, there would be a different approach to information and education. One of the functions of the Integrity Commission is to educate the public and educate office holders, so that it would vary from year to year. Some years they may have workshops and seminars, other years conferences and so on. This is an allocation for proposed event in 2020.
Thank you.
Member for Naprimo?
Item 62.
62? Promotions, publicity, and printing. Proceed.
A significant increase of 289. Would the minister give the undertaking that he would get his errant ministers to fulfill the Integrity Commission forms? So
member,
no publication in the media.
Okay. Thanks, member. Carney East.
Yeah.
Okay, Minister, I dealt with that. Minister, thank you. Carney East.
After line item 99, you have the total amount that was for general administration. In 2019, it was 9.571 million, and the revised estimate was 4.959 million. So almost less than 50% was given to the Integrity Commission. Why were they not given the full amount of 9.5 million and just given $4.9 million?
Statement.
Well, it's here. It's
It's
here.
a false
recorded.
statement. It's what is required. If you look at the items where the actual expenditure was less than the allocation, it's under contract employment and short-term employment.
No, but
We gave them what was required.
So did you give them what was asked by them?
We gave them what was required.
Required by you or by them?
I've answered.
No, you haven't answered. They would have asked, but if you think that this is what they require, you will give them what they require. But if they ask for the full amount and you didn't give it to them, something is wrong. They required X, you required Y, Y was given, but X was not given.
That is a false equivalency. We gave them everything they asked for.
Well, I'm sure they will probably speak about
I
it.
am speaking now. We gave them everything they asked for. I just checked and That is the truth.
I can't believe
Not
that the
your
Integrity-
fake news.
I can't believe the Integrity Commission needs 9.6 million in 2019.
Mr. Chairman, I
and
need
they
to
only
deal
asked
with
for
this.
4.9.
The member is making up stories. That is the allocation, and they were given everything they requested. Stop making up stories.
Okay, fine. Oropuch, member for Tabakit?
Yeah, I'm following up on Caroni East. If it is
No, but,
that,
no, I need the line item.
the line item is 22,
Fine.
22.
Short-term employment.
Mhm. No, sorry, not 22, 16, sorry.
Fine.
16. 16. Okay? In a number of cases, a lot of people have not gotten back clearances for a year, maybe 2 years. And one wonders if there's this request for that amount of contract employment, was that contract employment employment for people who would have been, I don't even assessing, looking at the forms and doing the necessary work so that people can get their clearance certificates and so on? What kind of employment were we talking about?
It's across the board throughout the organization.
So, and they only used 700,000. Is it that they couldn't find people, or is it that...
I answered that already, you know.
I know you answered it. It's just that I'm
You know I
concerned.
answered it, and you're asking it again?
Minister, proceed. Member for Tabakit.
You know, the minister has a habit of calling people dotish and what have you.
No,
That's why
Mr. Chairman. Let that be struck from the record.
I really...
Mr. Chairman, I can't continue
Minister.
with that kind of language coming from the other.
Minister. Okay, Mr. Minister. Okay, hold on. Member for Tabakit, I have given you the clearance to proceed, right? But your comment, I would like you to retract it, please.
You know,
members,
it's
hold on, member for Aruka
It's
Maloney.
retracted, but I hope that if in the future...
No, member, hold on.
It's insultive.
Listen, members, let's retract the statement. I give you the permission to continue your discourse, but I would just like you to retract the statement. That's all the comment that you made. Thank you. Proceed. No, hold on, member, hold on. Let Tabakit finish and then I'll come to you. No, let me hit Tabakit and then I'll come to you, member for Aruka Maloney. Proceed, Tabakit.
I have nothing more to say.
Nothing more. Right. Member for Aruka Maloney.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr.
Minister.
Chairman, apart from what the member for Tabakit said, the member for Caroni East also said something that should be retracted. I'm sure the reporters heard it. If you didn't hear it, I'm sure it's recorded.
Okay, again, whatever the member said did not reach my ear, but member for Caroni East, is it that you made a comment that should be retracted? I will.
I said I retracted.
Okay, appreciated. Now, members, hold on. Hold on. Members, okay, members on both sides.
Mr. Chairman.
Members on, one second, Mr. Minister. No. Members on both sides. I know we are close to lunchtime, right? I know we are close to lunchtime, but we have the Integrity Commission, and I would just believe that we should be at our good behavior. Please, let's get on with the business, and then we will break shortly. Nice. Mr. Minister, you have a comment that is relevant to what's happening, Mr. Minister?
I heard what the member said.
Well, all right. Mr. Minister,
Both
he has
members of the
retracted.
Opposition put on the record things that were never uttered by me. They spoke untruths, and that is their habit.
Right. And it has, both statements have been retracted, and we are moving on. Right. Member for Couva South. I just spoke. I just spoke. Oh. Nice. We continue. Subhead 03, minor equipment purchases, page 241. Item 001, General Administration, page 241. Subhead 04, Current Transfers and Subsidies, page 241. Item 007, Households, page 241. Honorable members, we will now move on to the draft estimates of the development program. Subhead 09, Development Program, and we on to a different book, Development Program. Consolidated Fund, page 88. We're on page 88. 1 second, point up here. Item 005, Multi-Sectoral and Other Services, page 88. Member for point up here.
Thank you, Chair. Under line item Administrative Services 002, Reform of the Integrity Commission. 2019 was estimated 300,000. Nothing has been spent based on the revised estimate. 2020, 200,000 has been estimated. Could the Minister inform us what is envisioned by the reform of this line item? What is supposed to happen?
Apparently, this is lumped with or together with the increase in contract employment.
Say that again?
It is together with the increase in contract employment that is under consideration.
So it's technically remuneration
It's
then?
under consideration. It would be for upgrading the Integrity Commission.
So it's not like reforming the Integrity Commission as a body?
It would be, I'm told it would be for services to amend the Integrity in Public Life Act. Okay?
We need it. Investigative power.
Subhead 04, Current Transfers and Subsidies, page 241. Item 007. Oh, my apologies. I retract that statement. Honorable members, the question is that the sum of $12,353,960 for Head 37, Integrity Commission, stand part of the schedule. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. I think the ayes have it. The sum of $12,353,960 for Head 37, Integrity Commission, now stands part of the schedule. Thank you, Mr. Minister. Thank you, Registrar. And thank you, members of the Integrity Commission executives. Okay, members. You all are now ready to break for lunch? Okay, we will now break for lunch, suspend for lunch, and we'll resume at 1:45.